Holy shit, it's been a minute. It's been a minute since the last stream, because been doing a lot of vibe refactoring, I guess you can call it, and it's tough. I think it's really tough to maintain large code bases while not looking at the details too much, even though I have like a strong feeling that it should be fairly easy to do it, right? Like when you refactor stuff, usually the base idea of the refactor is usually not that complicated because it means that you're moving something that's messy to something that's clean. Um, but it turns out that Claude Code, AMP Code, Sonnet in particular, just like are incapable of doing something without adding slop on top of it. So I've been like exploring the space. I know that there's going to be something really powerful there. And um, sorry, I'm distracted reading stuff on X. But yeah, I feel that yeah, there's stuff that can be figured out. So anyway, I did have Manus build something today, which I think is pretty cool, which is like a CLI tool to analyze pull requests, because I do want to do things like, oh, why did this file change? And like, by the way, when this file changed, like what were the functions that were modified? Please give me the full code of the functions and the diff to the function the way it was like at the beginning of the of the pull request, like all of these kinds of little functionalities. And it did a pretty good job of starting at it. So we're going to continue working on this little thing. And my GoGo Labs repository, where I used to do, most of this like vibe coding, it's getting so full of garbage that, you know what, we'll still continue adding on top of it. Maybe. And what I want to do is build a UI for it, right? So I had, oh, no, that's not the one. I had Claude then build like an ASCII UI and like a little spec. And yeah, anyway, I think that Claude Code and mark my words, like hold me accountable for it. But I think in a month or two, the entire industry is going to move away from that model, from that model of coding. Like it's going to be one more modality, but like this kind of like boom of everybody running like 18 Claude codes at the same time and stuff like that is like, I mean, a lot of people are warning against it. I think the concept of leveraging LLMs looping to do stuff is great, and the idea of vibing as much as possible and delegating as much as possible to the compute is great. I don't think Claude Code, the way it is built or the way Sonnet is trained, is something that you can build upon easily for the long term. And it's the thing that is weird is that not only will it add slop, but the slop, the thing that it like runs into problems is actually really, really hard to fix for both an LLM and for a human. While if you take like a less capable model that's much less eager, you might have more trouble getting to where you want to go, but it's much easier to get it to go where you want to go, right? Like if you have 18 versions of the same functionality that Claude Code in a loop like started creating on top of each other and adding more tests and adding more test files and like littering your repo with like markdown files, that's really, really hard to clean up. Usually you can just like start from scratch. While if you're missing and broken code, but the overall structure is pretty clean, then that's easier to build upon. Like it could be that at that point, you turn on Sonnet and you do this little step that was bad with a bigger model, and then you go back to something that's much more reserved. And I think with where DeepSeek and Qwen and Kimi are at, I think there's a lot there to be explored in terms of just building these looping agents on top of these smaller models and turning on the like glitter bomb that is Cloud Code or AMP code or anything based on Sonnet from time to time very carefully, right? So like kind of inverting the thing, because I think most people are using Opus all the time because it is actually a way to just like make Sonnet dumber and like less eager rather than making it all more intelligent. It's just like kind of working against the grain of all of it. But that's, I don't know if that's true or not. Let's use AMP code to vibe. I have to, after this disclaimer, gonna be like, yeah, whatever. Let's vibe. So I've been working a lot also on like maintaining documentation and making things as I was doing all these explorations of like vibe refactoring, spending more effort into um, keeping clean documents, which Sonnet is also really, really bad at writing documents, I think, because it adds just so much garbage that it then piggybacks upon itself that I found actually using Gemini or so to write documents much more effective at the end of the day. But I wrote a couple of documents this morning, so we'll see how it goes. The first thing I'm going to do is, as usual, I'm going to create a PR review helper, and we're going to. What am I going to use? We're going to use glazed, boba tea, and vibes. And we're going to call it pull request helper. I've never like kind of worked in a workspace with my vibes repository, but you know, whatever. I'm going to start cursor so that I can show the code as we go. So I heard that they have a new version today. Yeah, whatever. All right, so let's open this. Open folder. We're going to go into workspaces. I have my workspace here, the pull request helper. Going to open all of this. And let me show you the, oh my God, I keep moving files. Let me show you the pull request analyzer that we have. So the pull request analyzer is a tool that you can use to kind of analyze pull requests. That's surprising. Let me install the new cursor. I hate when stuff steals the focus. So if we go into the directory of the pull request helper, PS Analyzer Dual, I have like two versions of it, but we're going to use the dual version. So if I paste this, go run get commits, go run dot get commits for like my repo Geppetto, right? Like you can get the pull request and it will get like a list of the commits in this case. But it also uses TreeSitter to parse the files, right? So I can start like asking some more interesting things. So I don't know exactly how much of it. Oh my God, my headphones are empty. So actually I do need to have something a little bit more elegant here. So that would be the first thing to analyze and to add to my documentation. So why is my computer so slow? I don't know. So let me see with short helper. Is there something like that? There's a way for me to specify that I don't want to have all the flags in my default for this pull request. Let me see. What is this file? So one thing I did with documentation, right? It's I created a guide to write better documentation, and so this is some crappy Sonnet documentation. I can already tell. And oh, it's with Cobra short help layers. So this is a good example to show you what I've been doing this morning. So if I call Glazed, I have this help thing, and I have like a help UI here as well. And I created a document called like how to write good documentation pages. And this document, I've iterated quite a bit upon it to have it like potentially write some good documentation in a style that is like not like what I was just showing you here. This guy here this is like Sonnet style documentation where it's going to be like all tons of code with no explanation. Then it's going to be like a shit ton of like unnecessary stuff that's not really like super useful, and then it's going to add like tons of things about testing and error handling, which really leads it to just like generate whole lot of other garbage. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to recreate this tutorial on how to create a command and rewrite this, right? So this is supposed to be a full tutorial on creating a command, which I think is also already in the package doc stuff. So there's like duplication of documents in here that I might want to clean up. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to open AMP in here, and I'm going to say update build first command, which is I think the one that I want to keep, using all the info from create application tutorial, following the guidelines in how to write .md. Is there something like that? How to write? Oh, you know what? You know what? I haven't rebased this on main. Have I? Why is it not able to find this? How to write good. Man, there's something broken in AMP about like finding files since the last version. Maybe I should update it. Maybe it got fixed. Let's see. How to write good documentation pages. All right, so we're going to see how well this fares. Because this is still Sonnet, so the writing is going to be probably on the side of sloppy and too verbose and having too many things in there that are actually not relevant, compared to a document that is pleasant to read for both LLMs and users, right? So I'm going to use the Oracle and AMP, which is O3, after that to do a review as well. But this morning I've been working and I was like most happy with Gemini doing things. And you can already tell that it's like fleshing things out to be like a full paragraph and focusing the paragraph on like much more about the code and why something happens. So this, I think the how to write good documentation that I have is actually a pretty good prompt by now. But it's very recent, and one of the things I've been playing with is like doing all of this work of going over an entire code base with an agent and validating that the documentation also works. So we'll do this straight after we updated this, right? Because I told Manus to build commands using this framework, but it didn't have good documentation. So a lot of the like little bells and whistles that are actually making this a really nice tool for both humans and LLMs are still missing. And I'll show you what that is. So let's see how it continues, but this is looking pretty good. I'm pretty happy about this. I'm pretty happy about it. So let's see what this looks like. So it's the build first command tutorial, right? So if we look at this document now, it's, I think, much more effective than it used to be. Create your first command, command structure, list user settings, and now it has yeah, I think I like that. New list users command. Does it have the Cobra short helpers? I don't think it has, right? Cobra short helpers. But it is, however, in the create application tutorial, right? Create Cobra short helpers. So that's definitely something I want to have in here. And then get Cobra command middlewares. Is there something about middlewares in here at all? Let's see. So we're going to leverage AMP here as well. But one thing we're going to do is we're going to commit pretty often. So now it should have only changed that documentation, right? So, so this is going to be books, spiffy up the create command tutorial. And now we're going to be add the Cobra short helper thing, look up the proper API in the code, and also figure out if we can have some starting set of middlewares for the glazed command layer with print parsed parameters, etc. So I'm going to try to extract some of the documentation that I know is missing here just from my knowledge of the framework so that I can completely forget about it and be sure that the LLM finds it the next time around. Because one of the reasons why I'm going to spend quite a bit of effort working on this documentation and like having a good repeatable workflow for creating nice commands is if you go look in here, when I do help, I have a ton of flags and I do have a little bit of data here. But this is pretty hard for both a human and for an LLM to parse, right? It's like, I know that in here, there's like flags that are relevant to the GitHub stuff, but there's like a ton of flags about just structured data parsing, right? I'm also like wondering, yeah, see the structured data stuff doesn't actually even work. So this might also be something to address, right? And this might be something I'm going to create like a to-do file in the root workspace. So something that's not under Git control. I'm not sure that is like the best way to go about it. But so one thing we want to tackle here is dual command get commits doesn't work. Make sure the tutorial handles that. Yeah, so yikes, the Carapace stuff. I've been playing with Carapace and I kind of have it working a little bit, and also it doesn't. And it's like a one-man show with not great documentation, and it behaves weirdly, and I haven't found the time to dig deeper into it. And I'm like, kind of like, do I really want to learn a one-man show's sprawling ecosystem to integrate it into my sprawling ecosystem? Or should I just build my own version of it? And I think I might, just point the agent at, I might just point the agent at Carapace and say like, please copy and put it into mine so that I have like a very small, um, a small version of exactly just the single thing that I need. My brain is a little bit tired, so I mean, as usual, it's been a long day. So I wonder if it has found this. Like, there's a lot of documentation in here that I think is like deprecated, and I kind of should have a way to. Um, yeah. So that I have, right? Like, I do have completion. That's what Carapace adds is like dynamic completion, right? Where I can say like, if I do info here currently, it just like lists the files, but I have it. See, now I do a tab, and now this time the Carapace stuff kicked in, and I get like the list of my workspaces. I don't know why sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. It drives me wild. And then the next time I'll try it, it will like not complete the same way, or it will suddenly like just show, see this shit that I don't know why it happens, and it only happens sometimes, and so it's just like, I don't know. I don't think I'm doing stuff wrong, and I don't know if it's like I don't know what's going on here. Uh, and yeah, it kind of like makes me a little bit honestly annoyed. I want things to work right immediately. Um, so anyway, it's updating our tutorial for the second time, and I've gotten used to committing pretty often working with these command line tools, because that way I do have a way to revert. And I know that AMP added like forking into their UI over here, but not yet in the CLI UI. Um, yeah, so I wrapped the standard completion with the Carapace call, but because I also hook into quite a bit of Cobra stuff, like in general, I just want to kick Cobra and Viper to the curb. I already have a flag parsing library anyway, just because you do end up like just I'm building on the top of complexity, and I start to like just have too many workarounds to and not enough benefits for what I do. So I don't know, but for now, I'm like reasonably happy with all of this. My APIs are getting more LLM friendly, because a long time they were like kind of built for humans, or like they were built for like not using many tokens. Now I try to make them more discoverability than for many tokens. So yeah, let's see if this was kind of enough. Right. So I'm going to commit this update documentation to have Cobra short help layers. This was the what file was that? Why do I keep forgetting that stuff? It's build first command. And one thing I wonder is like, does it have the help command part? No, so it also needs the help command part. So also set up the help command part from create application. What the heck? What was that? So the help system, what else might be missing in the first command here? Is there like a main? Yeah. And the Viper initial, and we don't need the Viper initialization as well. Because this help system registration is like, it really adds a lot of not only pizzazz, but it adds like a lot of functionality to the whole thing. So the help system, yeah, so basically building for CLI observability by LLMs is like really a really powerful technique. Sorry, let me. Man, like X sucks so bad. X sucks so bad. So anyway, yeah, so it's adding the help system. And as you can tell, because of the instructions that I gave it, it's like very non-Sonnety, the way it writes documentation. Like it didn't add stuff about future functionality. It didn't add stuff about like blah, 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 blah. It just like kind of stayed in a very like kind of kind of a very like oh my god, pragmatic way. It's saying something about dual commands, but so that's this dual command stuff. I'm not sure how it like is able to. Well, we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. Yeah, with glaze out. Okay. So I think our tutorial now is pretty nice. The thing that we should add, learn about parameter layers, layers guide, command references, parameter types. So add link to parameter types documentation. I think it's like glaze help parameter types. No. Oh, what is going on? I wonder, it's like outputs the docs on std error, and I'm not sure if that's like the best idea. Adding new parameter types, parsing parameters, parameter layers, and parsed layers. Layers guide. Yeah, there's a lot that can be rewritten now with my improved documentation. So I might actually just do this, right? Since we're already there. So we don't have parameter types here. I think we have our first tutorial. So no, it's books, add help system, setup. Before I continue, I'm going to start a new amp, right? And what I'm going to say is like use build first command to build a test command and validate the documentation. Write a report on how well it went and what needs to be fixed. Create the test command in temp test command tutorial. I don't know if I need that. Let's see what happens. So now I'm just like using the model and say like, oh, please go through the documentation and like make sure that it works, right? And if the model is able to make it work, how do I? Oh my God! So Does X even let you scroll back to the message you are replying to? So I'm using AmpCode success. Yeah, I can't switch to Grok. It's like there's no choice. So ChillUp Central, today we're kind of cleaning up documentation. What I actually want to build is a pull request review assistant. So when I open a pull request, I kind of want to like quickly gather context. I want to say like, oh, this function got modified. Like, please tell me what changed in this function. So instead of just having like a couple of lines, I got like a thumbs down. Great. Who the fuck out of the 3 people who might see this put a thumbs down? So I where was I? Yeah, a pull request review tool, which I had Manus Vibe, and as I'm testing it out, I realized that it's missing some of the comfort that I wanted to have to build upon it. And the reason it didn't have these comfort features, like the documentation was missing the right setup to do that. So now I'm updating the documentation so that the next time we don't actually have these issues. And yes. Oh my God. So now it's trying to build this, and it's like seeing like, oh, there's like issues with the CLI stuff, right? Or like the build Cobra command. And it's going to start looking for this in, I guess, the glazed code base. So this is an indication that I thank you, my man. It's always great to have a thumbs down. So this is an indication that the documentation is like not fully complete, right? Or like that it's indicating to use the wrong package, or that there's something missing and it hallucinated the wrong package name. So those are the things that that I want to fix, and it's easy to fix it because I have a code agent that has 0 context, right? And so it's doing the wrong thing, however, right? It's like not doing the right thing here. And the issue with this, that's interesting. So why is it not using the right thing here? I don't think this is correct. What the fuck? So interesting. This is quite interesting in terms of the APIs that I'm using. I'm going to interrupt it here. Can escape to cancel. Please cancel. What is going on with you? It's everything around building this Cobra command. So this is an interesting thing, is that all of this was built before we had the powerful LLMs we have right now. And the reason that this is odd is like, why did it replace it? So please stop the inference. Jesus Christ. Yeah, I don't know why, like, oh my God, I shouldn't have updated, because now escape doesn't cancel. And then if I cancel twice, it will escape. So use build Cobra command from command, which is the right, keep the short help layers, etc. So yeah, to go back to it, it's like having documentation that is reproducibly good is something that I think can be automated, where you have an agent build the documentation going through the source code, potentially have the Oracle like double check things, which we're going to do. And on the other hand, have an agent with like 0 context and trying to do what the documentation is describing. And so here we figured out that it has some issues, but now that I pointed it towards the right thing, it suddenly is able to do this properly. And I don't know why the escape doesn't work. Like this is actually annoying me. Update, no. So now I'm going to say, now write the report on what is broken in the docs. Oh, it was writing it. Oh my God. Okay. Um, and then what I'm going to experiment with as well is just like have the Oracle review what is currently we know the wrong, store it in a file. I'm struggling right now. I guess that's my brain being tired. I'm going to, without having it look at the report just yet, use the Oracle to see if I can find these discrepancies beforehand, right? Just to see, because I had Sonnet do it like blindly, it wasn't like really verifying things. It wasn't verifying that what it was writing actually really corresponds to the code base. And it's a sign that my APIs are bad, right? Like build Cobra command from command. That's like not a good name, and that's why it like build Cobra command was what it used, even though the real name is build Cobra command from command. So that might be a sign to rename this, right? That might be a sign that this is not a good name and that you might want to maybe do something like this where you have like both names, right? Um, where you say like add build Cobra command is dispatch that is an oh my god is an alias to help with LLM hallucinations. And then at some point, remove this to, well, remove build Cobra command from command, right? I don't, what the heck is all of this garbage? I don't know what's going on today. It's like, why does it try to use burn sushi tool TOML? I don't know. I don't use TOML. So anyway, this agent found inconsistencies. The issues are outdated function names and parameter type mismatches in dual mode. So use the Oracle to review the documentation against the real APIs. Write a report to see what could be improved and how well it follows how to write good documentation. I don't know why it's trying to put the completion on the left now as well. I shouldn't have updated. Like I don't. These tools change so often and they just like break stuff every time. Which I guess is a sign that we're not there yet with coding agents if the coding agents themselves break all the time. So an interesting time we live in. Anyway, what is this about? Like, I really wonder. We can close this one here. We can go into Glaze, and I'm just going to do a go mod tidy. Why does it tell me that it should do go mod tidy? I don't know. Why do I even need TOML? Where's the TOML? If my cat continues meowing, I will have to put in a pause because my autistic ass can't deal with this. Why is this indirectly used? Why does it tell me it's not in my Go mod file? Man, I hate Go at times where it's like I never understand why it's telling me something. Like, why can't it resolve this? Restart Go language server? Will that help? No. But it is in my Go file. Like, why? I don't get it. I don't get it. I think it's because the vibes folder maybe has like too many things. Maybe the Go work doesn't have too much, right? I wonder if it's because of this. Yeah, it is. Oh my god. If my cat meows, I'll have to pause for a bit because it just takes me out of the flow too much. All right, so let's fix the Go work since we don't need our tutorial anymore. Why this fixes the imports, we will never know. In the meantime, this article is continuing. What we can do is like now that we fixed now that we have a validation report. So let's go take a look at the validation report to see what review we got from our documentation, right? So one of the errors was that the API was hallucinated. We fixed that by adding an alias. And then the tutorial uses with Cobra short help layers. These are Cobra parser options, but build Cobra dual, command dual mode expects dual mode options. So that's actually a problem with the API here because it should allow us to pass parser options. I have to take a break from this cat. Hold on. I'll be right back. You can watch the agent do its work. That's really the one thing about autism that I hate. There's like sensory issues that you can't ignore. Not good. But there's so many good sides, aren't there? So while I hopefully am able to entertain this cat while I'm talking at the same time, to show you what I hopefully will get close to building tonight is that I started having Claude AI after giving it the documentation for this first vibed version of the tool. I just literally took the README out of Manus, saying how it works, and then I said like, "Oh, can you please like make an ASCII UI for it?" Because I like terminal UIs a lot. They're quick to generate. They're not many tokens, and they're really fun to just like look at. So the UI, I didn't really think much of it. It just had like a couple of verbs, but this allows me to basically the idea is that I point it to a repo and to a pull request, and I get this little overview of what has happened, and I can quickly browse through and like quickly get context to copy paste into an LLM to do a code review. So, well, this was the first pass. I just like let Claude AI like Sonnet do its like over engineered stuff. And I like the diff viewer. I like all of these little screens here. But then I asked it to like, I want to have something that's more like F key navigation to switch between different views. I kind of want to have like a charm bracelet bubble T layout. These are like standard I use to remodel it to something I like a little bit more. So now I can, more efficiently toggle between different top level views of like the overview, the files, the functions, the diff, because I can imagine when I start using this tool that I can start like quickly going to the files, let me show the functions, let me copy paste this, and like have these kind of like muscle memory things. And one of the things that I asked Manus when it built this first prototype of a command line version of it is to add tree sitter support, because this allows me to, right, when you look at diffs it's hard for me to say like, oh, well, what did change in this function? Because you only get to see like certain lines of the function maybe, or you don't get to see like easily what in terms of like more semantic things have changed in this pull request. So functions was like the easy low-hanging fruit to have Manus figure it out by itself, but you can think, because it's based on tree sitter, you can like search for any kind of like syntactic in the code, and this is going to be kind of what I want. And you can see these things here, these little Sonnet widgets things, they can be pretty complex to build, right? You're like, oh, what the heck is the complexity? If you don't remove them from the spec, you are asking for trouble. So cleaning up these prototypes is actually really important, because it can very, very quickly lead to the model doing too much. And I haven't figured out like the greatest automatic prompt to do it. Like I ideally want to just say like, make an ASCII UI for this and then have it run and just do everything automatically without me having to vet things, right? And so we're not there yet, that's for sure. But I hope that I can find better and better workflows and better ways to write prompts to have this happen. So I really wonder what's going on here and if it's like blocked right now or what it's doing exactly. Because this has been going on for a while. And I'm worried that if I cancel it, then it's not going to do the right thing. So we can see here that it found some structural issues and it didn't find the right, this is not a good fix, right? So that's why I didn't want the thing that tests the whole thing to fix it right away, because I do want to go over these issues and then determine what's the right thing to test, because it really doesn't have any context about the code base or anything. It just knows this tutorial, so it doesn't know enough on how to fix it, really. And the one really problematic thing is this build Cobra from dual mode is actually not a good API, and it's on me because I vibed it, obviously, right? Is this guy like continuing to do things here? I think it's stuck, but I'm not fully sure. So the dual mode options provides customization options for, so it's going to be the glaze toggle flag, the hidden glaze flag, and the default to glaze. But I also want to pass in like standard Cobra parser options, and this is where it kind of gets this like options pattern I'm starting to like less and less. Yeah, this is still going, so interesting. I'm starting to like this pattern less and less, and I think having a fluent builder pattern is probably better as we go along. So that's another insight, like how do you make APIs that are good for LLMs, both to use but also to write. And here we can see, oh, this is actually not all that great. It's not able to use the same options for commands that look for functions that are looking very similar. So that's where I kind of want to refactor all of this. And I'm going to do this in cursor. I'm just going to say like, oh, analyze cobra.go, which is this one here. I'm gonna give this cat so many kibbles. Yeah, my boy. It's like give it material goods instead of love. Analyze cobra.go so that we can actually remove the need for dual command option and instead consolidate it all on Cobra parser options. Is that what it's called here? Build Cobra command from command. Takes Cobra parser option. Cobra parser option and potentially alleviate the need for build Cobra command from dual command and make the dual command thing yet another option. Store your analysis and design in glazed TTEM 25729 analysis of the Cobra creation API.md. So for people who don't see me coding all that often, what I'm doing here is like, I don't want it to write code because this is like a tricky little thing where I do want to be involved as a developer, even though I usually don't want to. This is one of the foundational APIs in my whole framework, and I want to verify what it's going to do before, since this API was Vibe, the one that is having trouble with. So instead of just asking a question, I channel the energy of the model into a temporary file because it's going to write a lot, it's going to think a lot. If I just ask it a question in the chat, it will tend to think less and it will write less. So that's just a trick to channel things into a file, but then I can also like start revisioning, like putting Git code revision on this intermediate file and rework it, because in a way what I'm working on is not the final code, right? It's like I'm using prompts as the actual program that I write, or like at least write with assistance, and then compile it down to code. So actually my real work and my real refinements and my real iteration is going to happen on this intermediate documentation file, which in this case, hopefully is going to be like a quick iteration. But I want to put code revision on that. And in a certain way, this document that we're creating and then going to be updating is more important than the source code itself, right? So it's creating it here. So now we're going to have a look, and then I can delete things out of it. Gemini is usually like pretty good at staying on track. Here it's analyzing, build Cobra command from Glaze. These are lower level builders for specific command types. API fragmentation, that's true. There's 2 top level ones. Inconsistent configuration, that's exactly the issue we have. And when stuff is inconsistent, that's when LLMs start to get into trouble, right? Humans might have an easier time. They're writing it. They get like tab completion as they're writing. They know if the things they're doing is wrong. LLMs will just like go ahead, right? And then maybe after writing the whole file, get some feedback. But usually they don't get feedback at the token level while humans do. So you have to be much more consistent, right? So this is interesting. Actually, we could check if something implements 2 command types, then we can actually make it automatic, right? Introduce Cobra option. A new unified option type will be created. And then it has a Cobra builder config. Interesting. How are the option passed to, yeah, this is like getting really far, but this is really important to me, at least. Oh, but you shouldn't start writing the code. You're not Sonnet. The provider refused to serve this request based on the content. I'm having this like quite a bit with Gemini, and I don't know why it's like so atrociously eager. Like I don't know what triggers it in here. This is like flag parsing code. Is it like Cobra? I don't know. So if we do build Cobra parser option, which are defined in Cobra parser, and it has all these middlewares and the parser, I am not fully on board with what it's been proposing in here in the analysis report. I'm not fully on board with consolidating the Cobra parser options into its new Cobra option thing, right? Because exactly that. I don't want to start modifying the parser while I'm here, although this is a clear sign that this whole section needs to be refactored with LLMs in mind and not GPT-3.5 in mind. So what I'm going to do is so now create a plan document 02 in the same directory. What I want is make the dual command flags standard parser options. No, they're going to be passed. Oh no, I do have to do this, right? I do have to. I think it is a good. I think it wasn't the worst idea. And so here it takes a Cobra parser options. So we might do this. We might actually follow the plan here and then see what happens. Pseudocode for the new builder. This refactoring will create this if dual mode is enabled. Okay, so I don't know if I want to build this with Gemini 2.5 Pro or if I want to give that to AMP. I'm going to do it with Gemini. Build it. No. Do I want to build it with Gemini 2.5 Pro? What do you guys recommend? Any thoughts which model I should use? I'm kind of wary that if I use Sonnet, it's just going to go like wild. But also, we're in YOLO mode. Holy shit, the Oracle gave us like a bunch of stuff here. Yeah, use name filter. That's actually really interesting. Yeah, change the tutorial to name filter. I'm not going to do two things at once, but this is something that I want to preserve so that I don't lose it. So I'm going to also stuff it into my folder, right? So this folder where I put everything that's named after the date is where I'm going to stuff everything that kind of is useful for the work that I'm doing right now. I'm not sure where all this stuff comes from. Oh, I did it this morning. That's right. So this is going to be Oracle review of the create command tutorial.e. That way we can save it for later. And now I want to have this like plan of building all of it. And maybe I'll have O3 design a plan. So create a step-by-step plan for making this happen in the most elegant way possible. And maybe after with using an O3 plan, I can just have AMP go at it for making the changes tackled in 0.1 analysis of the Cobra creation. Store the plan in 0.2 plan for cleaning up the dual command creation API.md. And we'll let O3 do that work from cursor, review the resulting plan, and then let AMP do it. And in the meantime, this like resolve name filter with filter, see, these are the things that I don't want to let Sonnet do. Breaking large code examples into focused snippets, that's not something that Sonnet is good at. Replace mechanical comments with explanatory ones, that I want a thinking model to do that. And then add expected output examples. I kind of don't want that. And then, yeah, these are all pretty good reviews, right? And it was like O3 doing the review. And I've had good success having Gemini jump on those things. So we'll see. We'll see how this all goes. And what does it do? It finished programming. It finished its work. It finished the planning. So we'll go have a look at that. There we go. This plan looks pretty detailed. So locate existing dual mode code path. Yeah, because that exists in quite a few places, and that's going to be. But I'm happy letting it break. I'm happy letting it break as it goes. So catalog tests or documentation snippets, that's pretty good. Introduce unified option layers, add Cobra buildings, field define adapters here. Yeah, this is nice. Adapter helpers. That's what I would have done as well with Glaze toggle flag. And then yeah, so what is interesting here is with Cobra parser options, Cobra parser options. I hate this area of my framework. I really like didn't didn't do like the best job here. Because these options are then used for creating the new Cobra parser from layers. And the problem is I have to really like change the API as it is now. So update the plan to also introduce, we're in Cobra, right? In the Cobra parser. To keep backwards compatibility by having Cobra option named this as the previous Cobra parser options, and just have and rename the lower level ones. I hope that O3 understands what I'm getting at, because I don't think anybody understands what I just said. But often models are good enough to kind of do that. So it's going to be interesting. And one thing I've been finding myself doing lately is like going back more to Cursor after like an extensive AMP code section, just because I've been trying to do vibe refactoring like this dual option thing, and I think Sonnet is a real liability. And seeing all this like crazy enthusiasm around AMP code and Claude code is like, I had this as well for the last 2 months or 3 months, maybe, or 4. I don't know when Manus came out, and I started doing all of this like insane forward pushing coding. But I think it is a real liability as you start building more and more, because Sonnet is like so bad at looking forward in terms of structure, and it's trying so hard to keep backwards compatibility. So let's see. Adapters with parser flag, internal parser flags, and then with default adapter helpers, rename the former fine grain to clarify scope. And then, yeah, so refactor, so update the plan in section 2 to also introduce the new Cobra options that are, however, called the same as the previous ones. So where can I find this? And cobra.go, and this really is like the messiest part of my framework in many ways. So to introduce the new with Cobra middlewares func with skip command settings layer, etc., that will then create the proper lower level that will populate the, do I want that? So no, update the plan in, yeah, because like look at all of these options, they just like set flags in the Cobra parser, right? Update the plan to say that the Cobra parser gets a configuration object, since the options just set flags on Cobra parser anyway, as the Cobra parser. The parser itself is rarely used direct anyway. So let's see what it's able to do with that. And we might have to restart the plan from scratch, because it's getting a little bit messy, because I didn't know what I wanted to do, right? But it's ultimately what we want is like this struct is actually like the configuration structure, not just for the parser, but actually for a whole Cobra command. So it was like maybe a little bit misguided. This parser construction, this goes back 3 years, I think. So before LLMs even. I did a couple of refactors, and ultimately it's like a fairly intricate CLI builder things, but you know, you'll see like how pretty the result is and how extremely useful it is for agentic coding to have such a framework. So keep the public type name Cobra parser option. No, this shouldn't be the case. Yeah, so maybe we should do that, and then maybe we should um, no update. We don't to use Cobra option and get rid of Cobra parser option entirely, since we create our parser from a config struct. Now, I don't think we need Cobra builder config either. Basically, go over the whole plan and design, think hard on how to tighten it up, then streamline the implementation plan. So this is starting to get a little bit messy. We might have to recreate this from scratch, and then there's like a shit ton of stuff that I'm just gonna remove. For example, the testing and validations, right? I don't want to have tests for this. It will figure out what breaks and then add tests. I don't know what it would like test by just setting flags. I don't think this is really useful. But this is good. Like, this is the stuff that Sonnet hasn't been trained to do. And even if you tell it to do it, it doesn't do a good job at it, because I think it's been reinforced so much on like pushing forward blindly. So we'll see what happens there. Oh wait, what about the streamlined plan? It like added 96 lines but removed 63. Keep the public name Cobra parser option. I told you to get rid of it entirely. Cobra option is now the only configurable. Wait, is this what? Have a single. Am I looking at the right plan? I'm not looking at the right plan, right? It's like I was like not seeing the updates. This is a problem with the preview view here. All right. New Cobra parser from layers. Now it takes a config. Remove Cobra parser option. Provide a deprecated wrapper. No. No deprecation or backwards compatibility beyond the one I asked for. So that's a problem with Sonnet especially, is like keeping backwards compatibility and starting to try to keep it too often. So it will start like, imagine you have unit tests for an API that you want to refactor. It's going to say like, oh, all these unit tests are great, I need to keep them. So it's going to create a wrapper for the old API so that your new API implements the old API. And it's going to test it, and it won't work because fundamentally the two things are like not fully covering each other. So we'll say like, oh shit, the unit tests don't pass anymore with my wrapper. I better try to fix them by fixing the new API, which actually was a good API. So now it suddenly starts adding like backwards compatibility flags everywhere. And then it says like, oh, this is not working. Let me create new tests for the new API. And then it will create like a wrapper for the new API for the mob stuff. And it's like, it's really impressive to see it happen. And it happens very, very quickly. Just because it tried to keep too much backwards compatibility and it had too many unit tests. And in a way, it mirrors what happens in real life. Like, I'm always someone who's like, oh my God, I guess I have to go in by hand here now. So located in here, Cobra parsing, Cobra parser refactor, remove Cobra and its helper folks. So we're just going to remove this wrapper for compatibility. This actually is nice. Is it nice? New signature. So I think we can maintain backwards compatibility. I think we can, but I don't think we really need it. I'm gonna have it break, and then if it breaks too badly, I'll fix it. because this new Cobra parser from layers with the options, I think it might actually be possible to keep it. I think we can do this. So remove Cobra parser options and its options. Cobra option. Cobra command build config. Right? And then, so, okay, hold on. New Cobra parser from layers. Yeah, we're going to keep this like this. Command build config, and then we're going to, yeah, this. So builder overhaul, build Cobra command, signature becomes build Cobra command from command, Cobra option, yes. Initialize this. The build Cobra command dual mode is, yeah, why not keep that backwards compatibility for now? Now, remove. Now I do want to keep this because I had like too much documented as deprecated, mark as deprecated. So how do I do this? Is like go deprecated? I don't know how do you mark something as deprecated in Go. There's a way to do it. Let's see. How to mark something as deprecated in Go. Oh, okay. Good to know. So this is good. Thin compatibility layer marked as deprecated. So it's yep. Update, add build Cobra alias to yep. Yep. And this like build Cobra command. And I think this might be a good plan. I'm going to commit it, and then we might just like let amp code do it. We'll see. And build Cobra command, so this is good. So add documents to refactor the Cobra options. So this is really like old school LLM assisted programming, the manual programming that kind of was what I did last year until like agents came in, like when Manus was released, I think like February or something. And I'm finding myself getting back to it from time to time, also because I do need to know my code base from time to time as well, right? It's like, and also this is just like faster and much cheaper than now trying to vibe with the agent until it breaks. I've I think there's a lot to explore there, but like I also have to get shit done from time to time. So, and then this is actually a feature which is like add an alias for better LLM compatibility. And what we're going to do now, we're 53% here in our first flow. This already has like quite a bit of documentation in there, right? Which might or might not be useful, to be honest. So what we have here is analysis of the Cobra creation API. I think those two documents might be good to give as an implementation thing. So we're going to start AMP. I'm going to start it in this repo, not in the top level one. And now I'm going to say refactor the Cobra parser option situation using analysis of the Cobra creation API as a starting point and following the plan to a T and following the plan 02 iterating, no, it's plan for cleaning up to a T, nothing more. because it's Sonnet after all, right? And I'm not going to do this in a sub agent because I just want to keep track of what it's doing as it's doing it. Going to close this one for now. We probably will resume it later on. But let's go see what it does here. Because I am worried that having Sonnet do it is going to go sideways. I worry that that's it, but also I'm like curious to learn and find out. And if it did go sideways, we will actually rewind and I will add a little bit something to the prompt to see if that helps the agent follow such a refactoring plan. That is, it's not that crazy of a plan, right? It's like, it's not the craziest refactor ever, but it is a little bit tricky because we are in a semantically problematic area. Everything's called command and parser and command. Like it's not good names, and names are kind of like the most important of for an LLM. So all a very interesting part. And also see there's a really interesting Twitter discussion that I want to go back to. So we see it's reading the file. I'll start by implementing the refactoring according to the plan. Let me begin with step 1, create the Cobra parser config struct. All right, so that's good so far. That's less good. I wonder how many of these, like the insane amount of tokens that people with Claude Code Max have been using, how many of those are just like around cleaning up Sonnet slop? I'd wager like 80% of those are just wasted tokens. And why people always like try to opus max. I do playing more with things like Kimi and DeepSeek. I do, or like just using Gemini and O3 to actually get work done for now. It really is a model problem. I mean, it's great to push forward, right? Like that's why also I think it's so addictive. It's like when it works, it's just like incredible what it gets. And when you start like having it loop and it works over like 4 or 5 loops, it's damn, this discussion is like actually exactly on point about what I'm talking about. So, but yeah, I think there's at this point having an agent where you can control much more than you can in Cloud Code, or where you're at like the mercy of the model providers and not being able to really easily choose which model and how to steer it, which I think even with Cloud Code, right, there's a lot of efforts around it and they at least offer and stuff. MCPs are not enough to build good agent primitives, I think. So now with Crush, which is term bracelets, open code, which I really like, I'm going to finally get into building more agent stuff. So this is where it's starting to get interesting here. Let me look at this. So we have a new Cobra parser from layers with option. This is like the simple traditional wrapper. These are the new options for the Cobra options. This is also all clear. And then here comes the tricky part. Build Cobra, build single mode, command. So this is maybe something that I do want to have. Why is it adding so much code here? So it's moving the old code over. Hopefully it's not inventing too much stuff as it goes. See? It's starting. It's starting. I notice I need to handle the handle command settings debug function. Okay. I am a little bit wary about what it did here, but we'll see. We'll see. This is the drum roll moment. Yeah. I'm a little bit skeptical about its thing here. But we'll see. I'm not sure what this handle command settings debug handles debugging commands. Yeah, that might be that existed before. Oh my god. See, this is. I wonder how much stuff is like going wrong just because it's not able to look. It's like copying things over to a temp file. Yeah, man, what the heck is going on? Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. It like literally used head to cut off shit from a file. Wow, this is fascinating to look at. It's like, oh, I already like it's trying to remember its own work. I'm curious to see what comes out of this. Like this part over here is kind of wild, I think. Let's just cut off the 900 first lines of the file and just throw away the rest. I could see, I've seen like it actually like properly do the right thing over this. Like it might probably be like more clever than me, but now it has like a temp file lying in there, right? And it has like it created a deprecated.go. Ah yeah, well, this is interesting. We'll see. If it fails, I'll redo it and just ask to use the Oracle when it's starting to have trouble. Maybe one of the things I should do first as well is like kind of why is it doing this? Like, no, remove them, right? See it has so much trouble just removing code that it just like won't delete code. It will just like rewrite everything. And yeah, this is starting to go haywire here. Like, see, it says like, oh, I'm going to remove these like redeclared functions, and it's like, nope, I'm going to mark them as deprecated. I won't remove them, right? It's like, let me remove the duplicate functions, and then it actually just marks them as deprecated. This is like Sonnet behavior that I don't understand, because it literally doesn't do what it's like kind of output just before, which is a really weird behavior. And now it's like, I think now it's completely lost the sauce, right? So now it deletes them. So, but it deletes not the right ones. Oh no, it does delete the right ones. So it has, however, renamed all the other ones that didn't need to be renamed. So those aren't deprecated? Jeez, I don't. It's trying hard to keep backwards compatibility, and that really costs it when it does refactors. So we'll see. We'll let it fill up its context and see how far it goes. This stuff is like sometimes it's able to catch itself, right? But it's like if you start adding like language server hints and like unit test runs in between all of this, right? Like here, the plan didn't say to use unit tests to do the refactor, but often that's what Sonnet will put in its planning. Then you just like start cleaning things way, way, way too early. And so we'll see what happens here. We'll see. Like there might be a good chance that this still is overall okay, and I will ask the Oracle to do a review of all of this, because we're still at 50%. It seems like we must be at more than 50% at this point of the context window, which I found Amcode does a reasonably good job at telling you that the 100% it still like is functional, which I'm not sure how that happens, because usually I find past 50% stuff starts to degrade really quickly. So not fully sure how that matches the context window size. But it used to be shown as like 160 tokens, 160,000 tokens. So the core files are building, and then the example register Cobra is it should use the new API. Yeah, which is, I mean, I fingers crossed, right? Like I hope that it is a small refactor, but a tricky one. I find it kind of amazing how it's able to catch itself at times. I wonder how much junk it left over. And I wonder if it's going to update the documentation, and if I should maybe have O3 do a pass before it starts updating the documentation. We'll see. So these test files, by the way, are littering the code base very, very quickly, right? And it often won't remove them. Amcode is much better at removing them than saying using Sonnet raw in Cursor. So they must have some prompt. But those things can really cost you in the future as well, because there are things that you are not aware of even exist, and will, however, be latched on by the next time, which says like, oh, it seems like this test file like really uses this API that I want to remove, and so I need to really preserve it. And it's like, I don't care about this file. I've never seen it before. Please just remove it. So this like deslopification step of not committing too many files is like something I found like really interesting. I wonder why it's not using the language server here. And so now it's like crashing, and then now I'll try to fix the crash. Holy shit. So now it's trying to fix its test file, right? Like it might totally be that the test file is, yeah, I don't know what it's doing here. What is this? You shouldn't need, I don't even know what annotations is. How did this work before? Yeah, that is obscure. I'm really curious to see, and also it didn't grep like for the old, use the Oracle to review all of this. So I'm going to commit for the sake of it, and just to have like a record. So this is going to be heavy refactor by Sonnet. We're not going to run linting or tests, and then to review all of this and point out what might be overdone or missing. For example, why did the annotations crash happen? Because this, I think, never happened before. Also make sure that command glaze works. Do this in a sub agent and write a report in TTEM 250729. Review of the dual command Cobra parser options refactor.md. Furthermore, list all the parts that still need to be done from 02 plan for cleaning up and check off the finished parts. So using the Oracle to kind of review everything, kind of check off things in the to-do list, just like kind of menial cleanups. And man, I really didn't set out to do sophisticated stuff at 9 in the evening, but here we are. I guess what needs to be done needs to be done. Because to go back to our pull request review tool, what we can see is that it wasn't able to do the good dual command stuff, but it also wasn't to register the right, or because the tutorial that it used to create its command didn't say how to properly initialize the help system. It is outputting confusing flags, and as such, the LLM, when it calls the CLI tool, has these confusing flags, confusing for human, and as such is less capable of actually building the functionality that it should, because it starts like messing up flags or not using them correctly, doing all of these kinds of things. So that's an issue. And then now I also know where this dash filter thing comes in, which is in the build first command. The filtering, list filter, the filter stuff is actually not good, I think. I think that's a bad name because it's already used by the name filter, right? So, while we're at it, is like replace dash filter with dash name filter to avoid clashes. So I'll quickly do that. As we built the tutorial before, it like found this as well as an issue, and it's something I've repeatedly run into because I wasn't aware that the tutorial was using a problematic flag. Ultimately, the issue is that the flag name itself, filter, is just like problematic, and I shouldn't have my framework add a flag that's called filter because it's used so often. But we'll see. So it's testing the command glaze part. That's cool. Oh shit, I used O3, so it's like actually overdoing it. So let me stop that, and I guess I wasted a bunch of credits. I'm gonna just use Claude 3.5. No, oh, it doesn't know which file. Oh, that's why. Why doesn't it like link the open file anymore? See, these kind of little muscle memory things are really annoying because they change all the time. And then the like slash thing changes, and then the slash thing doesn't change, and referencing files behaves differently. It's annoying that this keeps changing. Like, for example, Amcode changed. Control C used to be abort inference. Now it's like quit the program. So I keep quitting my program even though I just want to stop the inference. Really, I don't know. Maybe it's like okay, but I find all of these tools change so often that it's tricky. And this needs to change somewhere else as well, right? So the status settings, where's the name filter stuff happening? So the settings is the list user settings. And where is list user settings defined? Oh, we do need to define the list user settings, right? The tutorial is also missing the definition of list user settings. See commands reference on how this is supposed to work, because that's an important part. I should go over this by manually as well, because this has been like, this is like fish sticks. This has been reduced from like 18 different 18 different tutorial files. So at this point, it might be See, even Sonnet 3.5 does like ridiculous stuff like that. No one asked you about this, man. All right, cool. So this is correct. Where's the review of the refactor? So I've plan for cleaning, legacy type removal, not started, critical issues defined, feature regression, debug features like were stubbed out with not yet supported message. Like I'm telling you, this stuff is like, it just like started destroying things, which is really problematic. 3 almost identical execution blocks with diverging functionality, double translation layers. Yeah, see, this is like Sonnet problematic, Sonnet nonsense. So thank God I committed it. So we're going to revert it. In the meantime, I'm going to, you know, it's going to be art update the dual command creation API. Maybe one thing that would be nice to salvage out of this is like maybe we do need to make our plan a little bit simpler. The current implementation has double translation layers, right? Cobra parser option and Cobra parser config. Yeah, see, when it did copy these huge functions, it just dropped a whole set of functionality, which is really problematic. I was like, yeah, I'm done. This is perfect. Like I didn't change anything. No, I'm great. And then like half of the functionality has been destroyed. Okay, so yeah, the refactor introduced also other stuff, which is this was not good. We're going to revert it, and we're going to try again, just like this time using Gemini or something like that. So, however, I also fixed the tutorial, and I think that was actually a good fix. Maps to limit flag, and then we use knife filter. So this is a good one. So this is update the tutorial to use -- name filter, not the already allocated -- filter. And if we look now here, we're gonna revert the heavy refactor by Sonnet, right? And now that we've reverted it, we're just gonna have like O3 implement this stuff, because like or should I have you O4 mini high? What do you guys think? I'm gonna use O4 mini, because why not? Is there a way to configure O4 mini high? Models. Yeah, there's not. Well, we'll see what happens. O4. Because I've never used O4, so might as well. This is like a really tricky area. So implement 02 plan for cleaning up C01 as the starting point. We don't. So just to review the plan for cleaning up, is there something in there that was maybe? Oh, see, I updated this one, right? So maybe I should revert that as well. Let me see. Stat. So we updated this one, part of also the review, right? So we can git check out the parent of this one, and however, we're going to restore the plan for so we've restored this, and then maybe I should ask O3, like based on the stuff that went wrong in the review, you know, maybe annotate the plan. Why is this? All right, so actually we had Sonnet the LLM implement 02 plan starting point 0. Actually, I should have the conversation. Why is it starting to do Ruby also? This is analyze. Okay, so okay, we had Sonnet LLM implement the plan, and now I can't reference files. Like, what is this? Oh, now the at is completely broken. That's great. Implement the plan, but it failed. See the review in. Yeah, now this just doesn't work anymore. Oh my god, I hate these breakages. It's just like so frustrating. Especially the file referencing. I don't know how much they struggle with it, but like, it's broken every second week. All right, so we had the LLM Sonnet implement the plan, but it didn't go well. Here's the review of their work. 04 review. Let's go back to the plan and update it a bit to be clearer. So I'm curious to see what that will do. This is also just an experiment. It's not something I've been doing before, where I have Sonnet go wrong, I have O3 analyze it, and then I use O3 to update its plan, but then I'll have O4 build the plan. Actually, it's O4 mini doing the review now. So we'll see. I'm just experimenting a little bit on these, like, kind of, how do you keep Sonnet on a leash? Or do you even want to use that model at all to do refactors? The problem being that, like, all these agents out there are kind of being built around Sonnet. I think Sonnet is great because it knows so much about APIs, recent APIs, that it's really like, it is a game changer for certain things, right? Like building a charm bracelet bubble tea UI before Sonnet 4 was really annoying. Like, it would kind of work with 3.5, 3.7, but not really, and definitely not with OpenAI. Now I can build some pretty significant charm bracelet things, like, right out of the bat. The problem being, though, that, like, refactoring is much more problematic, but that's actually something that other models can deal with pretty well. So it's interesting, right? So let me see what it changed here. I actually shouldn't have approved. So it transformed this, consolidate all command builders, and streamline the implementation. It changed a lot because this is O4 mini, so it probably writes in a slightly different style. Retain only one minimal backward compatibility wrapper. Yeah, thank you. That's great. So define Cobra parser, introduce Cobra option as the single builder option, internal command build config unexported. All right, cool. Provide helper factories, all return Cobra option, right? Like here it should say, like, remove the old ones, right? And then what did it change here? I'm curious about the things that it changed, just because it's a new technique. Create a run Cobra command helper. Refactor all builder codes to call the single layer for command run. All right, that's interesting. That's an interesting approach. That's not the worst approach at all. Yeah, remove. No. So this should kind of happen before here, right? Like help. So here it's going to be delete the deprecated helper factories of the same name in Cobra parser.go, right? Because that was one of the main tricky things that it caused. Remove the deprecated parser option functions, drop all Cobra parser options, and it's I think I can remove this. Like, this mentions the fact deprecated, and that's like kind of a trigger word. If still present, Update signatures of primary builder, instantiate defaults, apply all opts. So what is this? All right, so this is nice. So actually, what did it change here at the bottom? See, it has like a different writing style, which is funny. It like removed all the to-dos and like unit test for run Cobra command coverage. Nope. This, however, is pretty good. The migration rate. I'll do that by hand in a separate step. So update tutorials and readmes and documentation by grepping for modified, for the updated, for the old, yeah. All right, we're gonna say that this is good. We're gonna commit it. So this is update the plan after review with O4 mini. I'm gonna code it with O4 mini because why not? Might as well experiment, right? So, however, I'm gonna start from scratch. It's like implement the refactor described in O2 plan. I don't trust the tab over here. The starting point analysis is 0, 1. I'm not sure if I should give the starting point analysis, but I feel that otherwise it won't have enough context. And then I'm going to add cobra.go, right? Starting in cobra.go and cobra parser. So I guess this is a continuation of my series, how to do refactoring of like tricky stuff, talking it out loud, learning about new models, learning about the ways Sonnet can go wrong. I think that's pretty important to really explore, because I think for refactoring smaller models with a good planner, or maybe even a good scaffold on how to do certain refactorings. So by scaffold, I mean like a certain agent structure and maybe a set of tools that allow small models to take a target description, because usually target APIs are very easy to come up with, right? Like consistent good APIs is something that even small models are pretty decent at. So once I have this target document, however, and my messy code base, it is, why did this change back to not seeing the code? There we go. Once the target API is usually fairly easy to design. Save some subtleties, but usually good API design is something models are pretty good at, because they just like are good at naming and consistency. This is a human designed API, and it's like messy, right? Because I am not good at thinking consistently over long periods of time when stuff is like messy, and that results in LLM struggling with it as well. And so coming up with a target API is fairly easy, and getting there, we know that Sonnet is not good at it. Getting there is the hard part, right? It's like, how do you go over there? And I think a pretty good way to get there is, for example, if it's just like a pure refactor without functionality, snapshotting a version of the tool before, snapshotting a version, and then having that as a reference on the side, and knowing how much to delete before you start testing against the old tool, right? And like, how do you test it? And basically treat the existing code more as a specification of the behavior than as something to be transformed, and instead like getting the model to create something new from scratch using the old code as a reference, I think is like an interesting pattern to maybe play with, to have smaller models like DeepSeek, or and I mean smaller as like in capabilities, like DeepSeek or Kimi or Qwen, do smaller steps maybe. Um, but basically, because they are not so eager and so capable of doing things that compile all at once, maybe have like an easier path to navigate towards something. I don't know. I'm like making shit up. So this was O4 Mini, which created something that doesn't even compile and like did like I don't know what this did. Like so O4 Mini here, we can see that it's not like, I mean, this could be like part of the cursor thing, right? It's like, this was actually not good at doing very much. And like, maybe I need to tell it to continue. Yeah, actually, maybe I should just like continue it and go back to O4 Mini. It's like one of those models that doesn't continue on its own, I guess. So here's the danger of like having the linter immediately interact, right? It's like if now the linter kicks in and Sonnet decides like, oh, maybe I should start addressing these things before they're finished. Here it's easy because like it knows that it's renaming an option and will probably not react to those. But when your refactor gets more tricky, and especially if linting errors start to appear somewhere else in the code base, I've seen Sonnet like latch on to fixing things that are not yet fixable anyway and starting to add more wrappers and more tests and more and more wrappers to try to fix something that it shouldn't even fix in the first place. That is totally fine to break part of the code base as you're refactoring to at the end pull it back together, right? And I think that's something that's really hard for models to work with, that you do have to have this like long time where maybe stuff is like broken for a while, um, but they've been trained on like everything has to work all the time in one shot, which goes against the grain of like how you do refactors, right? That's an interesting behavior right there. All right, so continue. So I guess I do have to tell it to continue from time to time. Um, let's hope see how it goes. I haven't even looked at the thing, but currently it just like introduced the struct and it introduced the options, right? And it didn't delete the old options. It deleted the old options. That's great. So, right, this was the step that Sonnet refused to do. And this is what O4, even though it's like later on in the plan, actually does right up front. So that is a really encouraging to see as a behavior, because this is the behavior of a good programmer doing a refactor. This is not so great. Like, why did it kill a perfectly valid documentation string? That's maybe something I would like remove. So what does it say? Copy. Yeah. So I don't know if I should already start interacting with this, but this part here, it shouldn't have deleted, right? So maybe I'll just undo that, and the rest seems good. Now comes the interesting part, because now it's actually going to refactor the logic of it all. And the logic is already duplicated because I had Sonnet Vibe, this dual mode feature, and didn't review it because I was trusting Claude too much, Sonnet too much 2 weeks ago, or like 3 weeks ago. Whenever I did it, I was like, Sonnet's great. Like, as long as you put it in a loop, it will do good stuff. No, I think it's a really problematic model, especially in a loop. So we'll see. O4 is interesting. I've never really used it. I found it really interesting in this case that it started by deleting code, which is a really, really good sign, to be honest. I don't know if it was a fluke, right? Because I haven't used it too much, but I'm going to continue using O4 Mini. The good thing is as well, it seems to use less tool calls than O3, because I think O3 blasts through my cursor credits. So that is encouraging as well, to see it not do like 18,000 tool calls down here. So this is the stuff that becomes interesting. So one thing that is, the diff is really in here as well, because suddenly it like Man, this is like hard to review as a human as well, huh? This is tricky to review because it's like, see, so this is also why I'm building this pull request thing. Is like this is so hard to read as a diff. Where you're like, what is he like? It's actually replacing the huge command, and it's like, why is it suddenly like this is a weird one. Jesus, like this is really weird. Where it's just like, oh, maybe it's actually found a bug. I don't know what this is. This is obscure, man. Man, this is a messy code. This is some messy pre-LLM code, actually, right? It's you can see that this is XXX is broken now. I think anyway. This is like, I mean, this is how you used to write software, I guess, right? Um, the create settings create command. That's actually also something that you can completely remove. That the model obviously doesn't know about, and I think that's one of the challenges with like legacy code bases that still were written by humans is that the patterns and especially the fact that there can be like totally weird ass stuff in the middle of it. Like LLM slop has a certain taste to it, which you can recognize and kind of like prompt for. Like the creativity of humans to write bad code is pretty impressive. Um, this looks much tighter in terms of refactor. Like the way the git the diff looks, right? Like I'm pretty visual as a person, and the way the diff looks is already like much more what it should look like. So I'm liking this quite a bit just from afar. Much better than what Sonnet created. The question is like, will O4 be able to wrap it back together and actually make it work, right? I fully extracted the inline command run into a run Cobra. So we're going to keep all and into a run Cobra command helper. So let's go take a look. This I really like um, in Cursor is that you can click on symbols. It does go to the wrong one here. It goes to the one in the in the document, which it's not like the worst thing necessarily. And if we go look at this code, because this is really the crux of it all, this is going to be the code that actually creates the command, creates function. And I wonder how much of this is going to be hard to review, right? Because it's actually called a different function before that it now still exists, but has something different. So this is kind of what I want to have my pull request review tool is like being able to say like, oh, quickly give me run Cobra command as it is right now in the new thing into my clipboard, and also give like the old one as it was into my clipboard so I can quickly put them into an LLM and start comparing them. So this is all really interesting. Create command settings. So the create layer is like a little bit broken, and also the create layer, create command settings. I think this is something we should just like completely kill, to be honest. I don't think it provides anything useful. I don't think I've ever used it. The whole command aliases functionality that I have used to be really useful. I don't know how useful it is these days either. So I think I should maybe mix this in right here. So continue also if the create command functionality, create alias, create Cleopatra, etc. is problematic, you are allowed to just delete it. So let's see. This is I mean, I didn't want to do this kind of stuff on stream necessarily because I know that's not very entertaining, but it's like you have no way of understanding what I'm doing, to be honest. But I hope that just the yapping around refactoring and seeing some of these diffs might be useful because I think that's really uh, the problem we have to solve for the LLM coding industry. Like that's kind of like the next step is really make these things as great as agents are to build stuff, right? Like that was, I think, really took the world by storm because you can build such incredible things uh, pretty decently until you iterate a little bit too much on them, right? And it's like I think we're starting to discover how many iterations we can do um, before it starts falling apart. A lot of people have like a much more structured approach on the looping. So in a way, it's weird because they'll hit the stuff later, or they will like spend all this effort continuously keeping the code base clean and losing the alpha of just like eating out a really cool thing in 2 days, because there's a lot of value in that. It's like building something consistent very shortly gives you a vision of what is possible, that if you slog on something for 3-4 weeks, you won't even it's like a step function, right? It's like suddenly you have a new paradigm where like, oh well, I can build something and I can experiment on it because it takes me 2 days to build something that I can legitimately test. That might be something you are never aware of if you are a developer that spends 4 weeks building something. And it's something that I'm discovering that's all the time. Is like there's these threshold effects that LLMs allow you to take that are, you only discover them if you really like lean in hard into delegating everything to the AI, right? It's like I'm actually a really conscientious, or used to be conscientious developer. Um, I guess I still am in some ways, but I recognize the value of like having code that I never read, right? It allows me to do things and think differently. Um, and so, however, that's all great and good, but once you find something that works, you do need to maintain it over time, and you do need to be like, oh, in 3 weeks we're going to do this like thing that requires a clever refactor because we didn't think about the fact that we wanted to configure this thing through the UI, or like that users would like to say filter the history, like just kind of like features that actually go against the grain of the architecture that was built. And that's where refactoring and vibe refactoring, because I still want to say like, oh, please filter the history, right? And I want to have the model or the agent figure out, oh boy, this is tricky. We need to put on, like our surgical gloves. That's something that agents should be able to do and that they're totally unprepared to do right now, right? It's like I try to literally give it a big code base and say like, make this event driven, just like figure it out. And obviously that didn't work. I was kind of hoping that it would work. Um, but what's interesting here is like, see how it recognized that these three things could probably be merged into one. So I'm really curious about how it did that and if it did that properly. Because otherwise it creates the run func. Why is it deleting those? Remove the old helpers. I've consolidated into one unified flow. Switch over build Cobra command to pick a generic run func at runtime and delegate everything to build Cobra. Interesting. I don't know what that is. This is actually an interesting thing. So it's, however, it doesn't compile, right? Because it has yeah, this is not Go. This is funny. This is not how you do things in Go. So that's actually an easy one to fix. And then here the issue is that, what? You do need a run function here. Build Cobra command alias. Yeah. You do need to fix build Cobra command alias, which now also needs a run func. So this is the stuff that I really don't want to type in by hand as a developer, right? This is a really interesting refactor example. Like I do have what I like doing when I have like an interesting problem like this that is not trivial and that I can pinpoint and can recreate, right? Like I can rework it multiple times. This is a great one that to test like, oh, what will O3 do with it? Like, what will O3 do with this certain prompt? Like, this is kind of like a great benchmark. Um, this little refactor here, and it's great that I actually have it on stream because it's all in Git, which means that in a month when I try a new prompting technique, I can actually use this as a benchmark. Is like do this crazy refactor now with this new model, and I realize I can't come up with good benchmarks when I say sit down and say like I need a good benchmark. But capturing these, I think, is really, really good. And actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tag this with Mark, and then put the date in here, and then select tricky refactor of uh, Cobra run wrapping. So and I'm gonna push the tags like I think starting to tag things as like, here's a benchmark. The date will allow me to go back to the stream as well, and I will post-process the stream. This is a good way to build up benchmarks, or like dojos. Like if you know this like code kata concept, um, so this is kind of like a task that you do regularly over time to just practice being a developer, right? So you just like a certain set of algorithms or like a certain set of programs, like maybe you like rebuilding a certain e-commerce store and doing it over time as you grow as a developer. I found that to be pretty cool. Like I've built like many programs that were very, very similar over time, and I think it's even more interesting with LLMs, right? Where you kind of have these like real world situations that are something you've gone through painfully, like we are right now, and will allow us to benchmark. You know, Kimi, for example. Like, what will Kimi do when I execute this, or what will like DeepSeek R1 do? Is like DeepSeek R3 good enough now to tackle this issue? And so I did have like but like say charm bracelets terminal UIs, right? It's like something that I would know I would struggle with building. And then when Sonnet 4 came out, I was like, holy shit, that's a solved problem almost. Um, that was like because I had done it so often, I was able to immediately recognize like, oh, holy crap, this is like an amazing feat by this is an amazing feat by Sonnet. I'm switching to Max because the context window is like nearing 40%. So now I'm switching, and now I'm back at 25% basically. You need to fix, which now also needs the run func. Also fix the linting error at the len is equal 0 errors new. And then I'll ask it to run Glaze basically as a test. But this is like a very promising turn of, or like approach by O4 Mini here. I really like the fact that it started immediately deleting code. That's that's a really, really interesting one. And being able to switch these models and like making your own experience of models, right? It's like everybody has a way of programming thinking. So everybody has also a different way of thinking about how to write programs with LLMs. And what we're doing with Claude or with MCode is like just having to accept the flow that Anthropic is coming up with. And they only know so much about software development, right? Like, do they know what I'm working on? Like, probably not. And the kind of person that works on a Claude code like tool is not someone who writes like heavy kernel code, for example. So they are not able to envision even what a coding agent for kernel might look like, nor provide the right scaffolding to do that. And there's so much to be discovered around LLM prompting anyway that like, you know, a nobody like me can potentially have like some novel approaches that are really like game changers, and I do, and I'll soon be able to share them. and then realize that everybody knew about it in the first place. So wow. Okay, so we're gonna just like see. It only changed 2 files. You remember how many files Sonnet had to change and create? Look at this. This was Sonnet's work, right? And here we are at yeah, 600 lines changed, so that stays like in the same realm, but then only 2 files changed and only 66 lines added and removed here. So 228 insertions, 519 deletions, and then this guy here. So that is about the same size, right? Yeah, that's interesting. Um, oh no. The Sonnet work was 550 insertions, 286 deletions. Here we have like the opposite, right? It actually like significantly, uh, well, at least relatively to the size of the work it did. Um, what'd you call it? Uh, remove code. This is even more promising. I kind of have a reasonably good feeling about this. So tractor heavy refactor by O4 mini, right? So I'm going to skip the linting and tests because I do want to have the model do this. So run command glaze and test it out. Yeah, I'm just going to do that and see if at least the foundation works. And then I wanted to maybe create examples, like the idea of building an example for testing by Sonnet was not the worst. We don't have many examples in this code base of how to use actually the framework itself, so that might be like a good way of doing things. Oh, they changed this as well. Follow allow list. That's cool. But yeah, I think that the time of the open source coding assistants that are heavily tweaked by individual users with hooks and those kinds of things, that's really coming. And then having hooks that allow you to do significant context window massaging, I think, is the next step. I really want to also continue exploring my JavaScript MCP concept, which I've been so caught up in work and work refactor. See, this is what I wanted to catch here. Make it fix those and actually make it work properly with this, hopefully. So that will be interesting, and maybe we should have, before starting the refactor, actually create a whole set of examples that cover the functionality we're refactoring, because I don't have it at hand. I have it like many other repos, but I don't have it at hand here. And this might be like a backwards compatibility thing that we do keep around. So no, so this is cool. So build a set of examples for bear, writer, dual glazed in command examples. Do we have examples? Examples, glazed command examples. Yeah. So we do have these things over here. And as you can tell, like there's going to be backwards compatibility stuff here anyway. So glazed in command examples. So actually, no, there's just like register Cobra. Build register Cobra as well. Maybe it's not the worst idea to keep a set of deprecated aliases around for backwards compatibility. why can't I have four brains so that I can chat on Twitter at the same time? Maybe I should build an agent. Yeah, so those are good. That's gonna carry us a little bit forward. But then we do want to update all the tutorials, right? So this seems to be working. This is cool. Test the dual flags and writer and all that too. Yeah, so it's nice. They're marked as deprecated, but they still work, hopefully. And we are at, how much is the context window? It doesn't show it right now. Yeah, so O4, a clear winner, right? Like remove 300 lines of code, actually works, actually had some really good suggestions as well. Deleted code right away, did suggestions that were not necessarily present in the thing. I do like that it runs everything in one single tool call. That's amazing too. I like this a lot. Hello O4 Mini. Like this is actually pretty cool. So this is something that I might want to use in Crush as well. Start playing with O4 Mini. And I don't think we'll get there today, but I do want to have, so continue with the plan in 02 plan and search the docs and commands for the refactored APIs and clean it up, right? So this is where, for example, the way I think about sub agents is not like, oh, I'm not going to send off a sub agent as like a little automaton. It's like, oh, this is an opportunity to run something in parallel with a separate context window, and not think of it as like something autonomous. It's just like sub agents, as they're called, are a way to do prompt engineering and to do potentially parallel inference. And there's patterns to do prompt engineering that I think are much more also mentally, as a mental representation, because that matters too, are much more powerful than just a simple like, oh, let's start a new context window that's going to accumulate forever. Like you do, the accumulation forward is of course is useful because you can keep the KV cache warm or keep the KV cache somewhere. But there's still things I think you can do where you like remassage the existing context window to fold things together. And I have a really nice programming pattern to do that, right? Like there's DSPy, which is a framework that does kind of stuff like that, where you like don't write a prompt and build a string and all of that, but you think of it like a little bit more programmatically. I have a pattern to do that in like 20 lines of code really elegantly, and soon I'll be able to share it. And once you see it, you're like, oh my god, this is so obvious. But I haven't seen it anywhere, so it's something that allows you to really do some really complicated prompt engineering, but it looks like crystalline and reusable in your code, which is really when you start adding like memory and tool calls, and then maybe you want to have this prompt that changes based on this thing, and then maybe this template, and sometimes you want chain of thought and sometimes you don't. And for this model, you want to add these instructions, but not for this model. Like it quickly becomes a mess of building tool prompt strings, right? But if you could manage that in like a couple of lines of code and be able to unit test this and like, have meta parameters that you can then optimize for, like the SPy allows you to do, really excited to share it. Because I think that it's really, I mean, maybe I'm a little bit grandiose in my thinking, but I think it's really like a game changer. So did it grab all of that stuff out? And I don't think it did like Cobra, right? Like it's like build Cobra command in files to include MD. Let's see. I don't think it found all the docs. Yeah. What about commands reference .md and 21 commands middleware and 03 users? So that I'm curious why it did a grep and then searched for it. Like it did grep for glaze command and it only found these two. How did that happen? Oh, because it only looked in tutorials. So look in all markdown files, right? Um, look in all markdown and source files to be safe, right? You can ignore ttemp though. So let's see. All right, I'm actually pretty excited because this is like tackling this thing is something that I wanted to do for a while. O4 I think did a pretty impressive job, and I think I only had to like steer it once through something, but that was actually just to tell it to look at the linting. And so it was on Rails, right? The O3 refactor plan was something that took me a little bit more effort. So that I think I'll have to come back to, right? Like, because I think the main insight that really I'm happy about tonight is that I have a really good little problem that's kind of self-contained, right? Because it's just a refactor across one file. It's something you can do multiple times in an evening. And that's a really good benchmark, I think, for not just like new models, like for new prompt approaches in a coding agent. And I don't think AMP code or Claude code are going to change all that quickly in terms of how they behave, because you don't want to change the tool that millions of people are using. But for open source, that's like much more of a possibility that like there's going to be, a fragmented huge community of people sharing like the same way people configure NeoVim or something. And however, I think that's where LLMs really shine, is when you have these like prompt engineering techniques that are really like applicable to your domain and your way of thinking. I need tea. It's a pretty cool thing to like walk out and then just know that your computer is continuing to work for you. All right, so I think this is maybe a pretty good refactor now, right? Like, is there anything? Do what's left to do from 0 to plan for cleaning up, and we'll see. Yeah, I'm pretty impressed actually. I think this was a good one. And what we're going to do is we're going to start a new amp with our frenemy Sonnet, and we're going to ask it to redo the tutorial, right? So yeah, the thinking traces are actually also quite interesting. More so than Gemini, although I haven't been reading Gemini thoughts all that often. So it's good. It updates the example now to use the new ones, which, even though it's good to have like the backwards compatibility ones. Did it end up testing the dual mode of the whole thing? Yeah, it did up ending testing the dual mode, right? Oh man, this is amazing. I love you. I love you, O4 Mini. I know Simon Willison was saying that he uses O4 Mini for everything. I should have listened more. All right, cool. Let me know if you'd like to remove the deprecated wrappers. All right, cool. This is great. I'm really happy. Tractor heavy refactor by O4 Mini phase 2. And now I'm going to see if there's like, so first we're going to format the code, and then we're going to lint, and we're just going to have it fixed like the last little linting error. So build Cobra command from Glaze command is deprecated. I'm just going to go fix that by hand. It's like parameter types main.go, and then where's the deprecated thing from? Oh, I saw it down here. All right. Oh, we're just going to amend that to the previous commit. No need for a custom commit. All right, so what's the linting errors that are left? Nothing. All right, so this is cool. I like this, and what we're going to do is we're going to use AMP, and then we're going to do follow. What was the name again? I keep forgetting the name of the tutorial file because we have two, and there's one that I'm going to delete. Build first command. That's the one. Follow, build. Oh no, what happened here? All right, build first command, and create a test command in Glaze command examples testing the tutorial main.go. No need for go mod and co. All right. Fresh amp, we're just giving it the one tutorial, and hopefully it will be able to build all of that. We'll see if that works, and if it's able to do the dual command, and if it has the help, and it has like all these like nice little things. I wonder if does the tutorial mention the like with short helpers, because that was the actual thing that I wanted to come tackle is like actually this, right? And I wonder if build Cobra command from command actually exists. It doesn't exist, right? So it 04 didn't do a good job of cleaning. So let me stop this before we get too far. It's like go over build first command in detail and make sure it works. You can create a test. So what happened here? This started working, right? No, it didn't yet. You can create a test program to follow the tutorial in glazed command examples. Go build first command tutorial main.go. Because I think there's still like this build Cobra command from command. I wonder why it didn't find it. As it did, because it went over this file. Maybe this file is too long and it didn't find it. Yeah. No go mod. I hope it's only going to create the main go. Actually, maybe I shouldn't react to the thinking stream too quickly. By the way, I'm reading a great book that's called From Deep Learning to Rational Machines. Let me switch my screen. This dude here, where is it? From Deep Learning to Rational Machines by Cameron Buckner, who has a couple of talks on YouTube. And it's basically about how we can use neural networks, deep neural networks, to study our cognition, and that like, you know, LLMs are much more than stochastic parrots because they do actually maybe also reflect some of the behaviors of our brain actually, and the way that you can study it is, for example, do they exhibit the same kind of failures that humans have? Of course, the failures that humans have are going to be in the training corpus, but so the clever, you know, it's like interesting to find how can you actually determine if something encoded by a neural network, which, you know, is still inspired by biology, and like when you do study like neuron transmitters and like, I don't know, if there are certain models that come close to the simplified equations we use in deep neural networks. So there is value in saying like this is actually kind of like blah blah inspired. So the tutorial example compiles. So I'm a little bit skeptical about that part because did it use the build Cobra command from command? It didn't, right? It's like, so which APIs and other things are wrong in the tutorial or deprecated? Because it actually knows how it built the thing. So it like was able, I think, to gloss over the parts from the tutorial. And that's a problem. That's why I want to have a fresh context window, right? However, I didn't want to like waste $5 on AMP again just to test something that I know is going to be broken. So although in terms of agentic thinking, you have to like accept the fact that you're going to be inefficient, right? It's the beauty of the models self-correcting themselves is like, well, it uses electricity, right, at the end of the day. So it recognizes the functions and then old option types. And so, okay, so update the tutorial to match the new API. And then I wonder if there's Cobra parser option is something that is present in the code base still. No, it's just in the TTemp stuff, so that's good. All right, that's pretty cool. So once we have that, I'm actually going to look at the pull request helper tool for how far are we in? We're 2 hours and 30 minutes in, and I think I'll just like have it update all the CLI tools to use this like new tutorial, and then we'll call it a day, and we'll continue on the ASCII UI like somewhere at another time. Cool. Yeah, this is perfect. This is great. Why is it changing the CLI with Cobra with parser config? Don't we have this like with Cobra short help layers? Wait, does this not exist anymore? It's like with parser config. Wait, oh my god, come on. Cobra.go. Aren't those like with glaze toggle with, oh, interesting. So I'm gonna ask actually something. Actually, can you add backwards compatibility helpers for with Cobra short help layers? What were the other ones? With Cobra short help layers and with Cobra middleware's funk? Because that would be great to have. I thought it created them, but I skipped over it. I saw it deleting them, and those were the old Cobra parser option. I hope that the context window is like not blowing up, that it is able to remember that far back. I'm worried that it doesn't remember how it began. Yeah, like what is with default to glaze? Like I'm worried that it starts to hallucinate. No, I guess that existed. So what's happening now? So with Cobra short helpers, yeah, so this is good. And the other options you removed from Cobra parser. I'm gonna let it finish. Yeah, so and so it modified the tutorial, right, to change that. So this should work like this, I think. I think it should be possible to have it work like this. So build first command tutorial in main.go. The thing that I'm curious about is like, does this CLI with Cobra short helper layers, default slug, and then with CLI with Cobra middleware's func. Does that still work? Yeah. So I updated, well, I guess I could just run it main.go, right? First, build first, command tutorial. Does it still work? All right, I think this is pretty great. I think this is pretty amazing. Also, that I remember so much. We're at 85% of the context window, right? 170,000 tokens out of 200,000. It was still able to pull it together. So it didn't test the list users though. So I'm gonna say go run command examples, build first command tutorial, and then list users, and then do -- help. So it does that. That's cool. Then list users here. It does that. Output JSON does that, and then I do help -- long help. I will have the full documentation. Yeah, amazing. Amazing. I'm really happy actually about this. I'm not going to commit this, but I'm going to commit the tutorial, right? And I'm going to delete the other one, which is remove prompt to glazed, create application tutorial. I'm going to remove that. I'm going to remove the command description MD. Yeah, because those are all great. I'm going to stop here. So I'm going to call this art add backwards with compatibility options. Is the linting still going through? The linting broke because we probably need to format something. Yep. And now we can commit. All right, so this is worth a pull request. Second documentation pull request of today. The tutorial looks great now, I think. So the how to write good documentation.md is also, I think, a pretty good prompt at this point, even for Sonnet. And just before closing up, we'll actually create this pull request, and then we'll use that pull request to test the pull request config tool, review tool. So that's going to be pretty interesting. And actually, we might just want to start this in AMP. So going to go back in here, and there's still linting stuff. Yeah, but that's the security stuff. So let's move that. I haven't figured out why it flags the security issues. That actually is not. It says like, oh, please use Go 124.4, and I am actually. So not sure what's going on there. We're going to create the pull request, create pull request, simplify glaze Cobra command registration, and update tutorial. So this create pull request tool is currently a shell script, if you want to believe it. And that's something I really want to focus on process and using LLMs in a team environment. And obviously, there's many tools that create pull requests out of code, but this is something that I also feel strongly about, that it has to be integrated into a LLM plus team assisted code review context that benefits the most from having like very custom workflows, like open source things, right? So this yapped a lot. Existing code works unchanged for new code. This is Sonnet, huh? Oh, this is okay. now that we have AMP, right, is like use build first command tutorial. No. Build first command .md. What is this thing called? Build first command.md. Why doesn't it know it? Oh. Build first command.md to update the dual commands and others to have short help layers and command middleware func. What is this? Command default middleware. Man, why does it not get my focus correctly? Keep all. All right. And why does it not change the focus right? I hate it. Like cursor definitely steals it the focus differently than it did last time. Because otherwise I wouldn't run into this multiple times. All right, and command middleware in, and so this is going to be vibes 24/7/29 PR analyzer dual, right? So I'm really curious to see that. And we opened the pull request on here. So we're going to use this pull request as a way to test this other tool. And I'll show you why it's something that I'm interested in having, because this is like a refactor pull request that's going to be hard to review. It's if you go to the actual meat of it, this is going to be a tricky diff to review, right? It's like hard to make sense of, I mean, here it is still doable, but it's going to be hard to make sense of the logic behind all of this, because you're like, oh, well, what? Actually, this is more readable than I thought it would be. But it's something where I might want to examine, like, what was this before and what did it change, and like how, but if you look at it fragmented like this, or especially is like, how do you look at the diff? Is it called like /patch? Something like that. You can just do this. Yeah. If you start looking at this, especially for an LLM, it's going to be like a weird ass. So this is the diff section here. This is going to be hard to review for an LLM, I think. This actually also looks better than I thought it would be. But here you can see that it's starting to mix. Right, like what used to be one command is now in the middle of a diff that creates another command. Like those things are like usually a little bit confusing LLM. And however, if we have the context differently, where it's like, oh, give me the diff for each function separately, for example, then it will have a much easier way of reviewing your code, right? So it's a matter of, it's possible suddenly to use like much smaller models to do something that's powerful, while if you have tricky diff formats, you might need like a more powerful model to do a lot of thinking tokens and potentially still arrive to the wrong conclusion. And so now that we're going to be building features, Sonnet becomes more interesting again because it's good at dealing with APIs, right? It's like able to generate stuff that compiles pretty quickly. And so when adding features, that's again like something I like. It's just like kind of keeping the code base clean, and then doing like tricky refactors is something where that is not necessary to build features or products even, but is necessary to, for now, or like, I mean, in general, to just like keep something lean enough that it's easy to add new features, if that makes sense. So that it's easy to vibe code. You want to keep your code base so it's as easy as possible to vibe code on it. And early code bases are great at being vibe coded until it becomes really hard to vibe code because the model just hasn't got the vision or the training or whatever to do these longer things. All right, so I have successfully updated the dual commands in doing blah 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 to use the Cobra. So I will show you the difference in in output, and why I was so interested, like why I was so eager to fix this issue. So we're going to go into PR Analyzer Dual. Let's look at what's happening here. It changed Dual a little bit, not too much, right? Like it changed it from Command Dual mode to parser config with the short help layers. It's interesting that it didn't use, is this in the tutorial, the with parser config? That's interesting. Why did it choose to do that? With parser config. Is that in the tutorial? Oh, look at that. It's like in the tutorial. Well, might as well be. I don't care. Where was I? So I'm gonna build this, right? So build OPR2. And then I'm gonna stash that and build the previous version. Git stash PR1, right? And so if you remember PR1, if you do analyze, or like get commits, for example, get commits and you do help, you get this, right? And then if I do the same with PR2, I get this. And so suddenly the LLM knows that these are the things that matter. All of these things are just like helpful things to filter like advanced code. And that's something I can tell it, like, oh, when you need to filter, use long help to read the long help. But by default, use this. And it would be great if I could like say, show long help to see all filtering issues or so, because then it will know that there's filtering issues, right? And so now if I do owner, go golems, and then the repo is glazed, right? And then the PR number is, what was the PR number here? It's like 483. We should be able to see the commits that led to this pull request, right? So if we look at the commits that led to this pull request, we started earlier with spiffy up the create command tutorial. That was the first task I did, right? And then we started building more and more on all this refactor. And now I have like a quick way of getting just the commits from that pull request in here. But where it gets really interesting, right? It's like, if I do with glaze output, and hopefully that works, then I get this. I get structured output suddenly, right? And so that's why this this framework to build command line tools very easily is so powerful, because I gave this literally to Manus and said like, look, here's a tutorial on how to build with my framework, please do it. And then now, without any effort, I have these like rich possibilities of filtering things where it's I can do things like this. I want to have I want to have the SHA, the message, right, as YAML. So I can do all kinds of things, which is great because so can the LLM, right? And so get commits. I'm starting to think if this is just all I do tonight and call it a stream. Yeah, maybe I will. Because it's 10:40. We have like 10 minutes. Should I show something cool? Maybe. Yeah, let's show something cool. Let's do a little bit of vibe coding after all. So this is cool as like use the new dual mode builder for better help flags. And I built this dual mode, which can do both structured and unstructured for LLMs actually, so that I can control the LLM readable output, but I can also tell the LLM you need the underlying data, you can find it as well. So if we go to PR dual main.go, main dual, this is the functionality here. I can see that it uses the Cobra command for those, but not for analyze. Oh, analyze is just a group. So if we go into command, we have analyze, and then we have analyze functions. So that's actually going to be a nice one to test. because now we've done this refactor, right? So we kind of know um, what we're working with. And so I'm going to do the same thing, which is owner go golems and repo glazed and PR number 483, which are things that we might want to put into some way of saying this is what we're working on right now. So this is what this output looks like. Well, it will tell us like, oh yeah, these are the functions that you changed or created or updated, right? So in this file here, you've changed these 3 functions. This is interesting. Why does it? Oh yeah, so this is good. And I wonder if there's a flag to see their body. Show body. Yeah. Oh man, this is kind of amazing. So this is already like super useful because now we can see the code as it was, right? So maybe a functionality. So now if I do with glazed output, I have the dual command working, but it's actually not registered as a dual command. With glaze output, okay. Yeah, so this is going to be a little bit hard to read as a table, but if I output it as YAML, suddenly I get this really nice and clean metadata, right? So that I can suddenly have like a really good view of these things. So what would be interesting is to show, so A, it doesn't have the signature in here. Oh, it's down here, the signature. It might be nice to have the old body, right? So that might be a feature that I want to vibe code. And at this point, so at this point, I'm just going to vibe it, right? It's like going to be add the functionality to show the old body. Or no, so add a function to show the history of a function individually, how it changed on each commit. 2, and so this is to be PR dual, PR analyzer dual slash main dual.go by adding it to analyze, look at analyze functions.go, functions dual. And I think that's all it needs, because it will look at functions dual. It will see use, commands reference maybe if needed. This is an interesting thing, right? Like commands reference was used to build this other function. You can bank on it kind of copy pasting the from this other, copy pasting the structure from this existing function, but how do you say, oh, you should read this documentation if you want to do something similar? That's kind of an interesting question as well, saying like, oh, which markdown file will actually tell me more about XYZ that I'm trying to do? That's something I have like a bunch of ideas on that I want to expand on further, that's based on actually the help system that's here in Glazed. And maybe I'll vibe some tutorials using the help system here while we're at it, because that will show you how powerful CLI tools can be when you start using agents. And so especially being able to bundle documentation and kind of make it searchable in a CLI tool, which like Go allows you to do fairly easily. You just need to give the model literally just a binary and say like, look, here's a binary, like you can call help, like you figure it out. This binary contains everything. And I'll actually show you that. So this is the function history command. That's going to be interesting to see that it created it. And like hopefully it'll be able to create it. It looks like, so I haven't looked at the implementation of any of this, so I don't know what client is. I don't know why it thinks that client git file commit history should actually exist. And I mean, I guess we can start looking at it as like, how does this all work? Internal, GitHub, client. Interesting. So Manus really did a decent job at all of this. I wonder if Manus is just like, I know that they have custom models. Like I read some of their blog has some really interesting approaches or things in there. So here it's going to get the commit in the function history, but it does have to parse that stuff. Oh, it found that the function is called differently. So I wonder why it hallucinated get file commit history. That's interesting. I thought it would have had enough information about this in the existing function. That's funny. Interesting. Oh, because the function stuff like just probably just gets like the current file and not the file commits history. Interesting. Interesting. This is pretty good. This looks pretty decent. And so suddenly this becomes a really, really flexible tool, right? Because I can massage it any way I want. I can massage it any way I want in shell scripts. And because it's going to contain its own documentation, as you're going to see, so at this point, oh my god, this is what I was talking about. They changed the keyboard shortcut, so I keep quitting. So let's continue and let's break it. And so use owner golems repo glazed PR. What was the PR? 483. Now I'm gonna just like test itself, right? So yeah, why do you need to check what commands are available? That's interesting. You don't need to call yourself 15 times. Like, just go. This is interesting to that it tried to call PR files with the wrong flags. It's using output CSV, which is fun. I wonder if I have that in the prompt somewhere that it should like use CSV format to save on tokens. Oh, that's great. I love it. I love it when a plan comes together. So we spent like 2.5 hours refactoring these flags, and now it's like on Rails. Um, all right, so we're going to do two things now. Now that we have a solid set of documentation, um, we're going to commit, because committing is always good, both in life and in code. We're going to add the 19 PR analyzer dual, command analyze this, and we're going to commit main dual. And so this is a Sparkles, which is add function history command to PR analyzer. What we're going to do now is we're going to say, so if we go look at the help system MD as a topic, here we're going to use O3 to actually rework this, because I think this is like hopelessly out of date, completely wrong, probably. And writing help entries, right? So it's I don't think I should even like use the 01 help entry at all. Okay, so I'm going to go to AMP. I'm going to say like using 14 writing help entries and how to write good documentation pages. Write documentation for PR analyzer dual. And bundle it into the binary. Use subagents. So now I'm just going to have it generate like a whole set of documentation pages that will be embedded into the binary, so that I can just give the binary to the agent and say like, please examine this pull request and do a review with these tools that have been given to you, is one of the things. And then the other one I could do, and maybe that is going to be for tomorrow, is going to be add a custom layer of flags that can be used to reference a repo. Because like every command has these flags like, oh, repo owner, repo name, PR number, like maybe I want to have like a short form. And so that you can package as layers in my Glazed framework, which allows you to reuse them. They're separated in the documentation, which also helps LLMs understand them. Like there's all kinds of things there that are useful. So I guess this is going to take a while, huh? This is going to take a minute. I don't want to do the refactor for the custom layer at the same time, though. It's like too late for that kind of shenanigans. What we can do is we can just like start go watch what's going on. Just like LLM gazing. What is it modifying? Yeah, it's starting to add docs in here. That's pretty cool. I guess it actually writes docs pretty quickly, but why does it? That is like, why would it? Okay. That's some shitty documentation, my friend. Yeah, this might be something where you might want to have. Yeah, exactly, Niston. That's like the manual pages. I don't know. I think there's a lot to be discovered there, right? So if you look at these guys, they have this like metadata at the beginning, and this was built before LLMs, and also I never really fully used it. But so I started experimenting with having embedding search and potentially, a job that goes over that amends them, because as we'll soon see, once we have these pages in here, you'll see how freaking cool this shit is, because suddenly you benefit from this like searchable man pages, which if I continue adding, like say a vector search and all of that. So what it does when the program starts and you add these doc pages, which are compiling to the binary, it actually creates an in-memory SQLite database and inserts all of these doc pages in there so that they're searchable, and then exposes that as a query DSL to the external things, right? So if I do glaze help, which is the glaze binary that we've been working on, right? Like I can do glaze. Actually, let me build this. Let me. What am I doing? Let me build this new version of glaze that we have. Make install. Once it's installed, oh come on, man, it's taking its time, huh? Is it downloading the whole Go tool chain or something? Because it's not using CPU, or at least wasn't. All right, well, we caught it towards the end. So if I now do commands reference, right, like I get the markdown here, which is like nice and all. I can also, this is like legacy stuff. I can ask for all the topics that exist, right, and separate it into topics, examples, applications, and tutorials. One thing that's missing is like there's no concept of like documentation tree. So I can't like do glazed help system and then get a list of applications and tutorials. Um, and I do think now more and more that you do want to have a hierarchy. I was like, why do you need a hierarchy when you have all these like filtering things? But I do start to think that you need hierarchy in there. Um, and one thing that you can do is you can do query. And so you can query, for example, custom layer, right? And it will find this guy over here. I don't know if it's able to find stuff like that. Like I haven't spent much time on the search part, but it does full text search, so I guess it is able to find those. Because if you look at the make that I just did, it had the tags FTS5, which means it compiles the full text search version of SQLite in there. And I do have a SQLite with like vector search and like calling embeddings functions when you load it. And I do need to separate this help system out of the foundational package because I don't want to pull in like a whole set of LLM functionality in there. Anyway, what you can do with this query is like I don't even remember the query DSL, so I'm going to query the query DSL, and I'm going to say like, oh, look at that, the user query DSL, like stuff that apparently also appears like 15 times. Suddenly I can do this, and then I know what commands I can use, and then it just gets there. I don't know what the help JSON thing is, but anyway, you can do like and not and like match. Like I just like vibed pretty crazy thing here. No results found for topic advanced and not default true. Anyway, and then the really cool thing is that you can do this, right? And so suddenly you can like actually search here and say like, oh, I want to search for SQL. I want to search for, I don't know, Cleopatra, right? Um, and so you can do this custom layer search. You find these things, and then you can say like topics or like type topics. So yeah, there's like the UI is a little bit weird when there's an error in the query. I should maybe do this differently, but I like this. I literally just vibed as the last part of my section. I was like, of my session, I was like, make a UI for this for the help system, and what came out is pretty cool. Um, and then what you can do is like you can copy this into the clipboard, right? It's if I look at the clipboard, suddenly I have all this documentation right in there. So that's like a nice way of playing around. Um, why did Emacs start? I don't know. It started weird. It's too late to fix it. So create a doc package structure with embed functionality, write main overview documentation, write command specific documentation. It's not going all to, or will it like cross off 15 things at once? That might also be an option, a possibility. So I really want to have this finished now to show you how the help system is, because I'm really excited to finally spend some time at work amongst others, really like a nice context documentation system. Oh, sorry, Nisna, I was looking at here. So if you just posted the docmds as Reddit threads and let it choose what to show in full, yeah, that's a really interesting idea. That's really cool. Have you been playing with something like that? So basically using tool calls to like kind of navigate a documentation, right? Like, so one thing that's interesting here is like, check this out. Gonna use, actually, we could maybe even use Kimi. So let me try this out. No, I don't want to initialize it. I am in Kimi. So I'm gonna say call glaze help dash dash UI in Tmux and find Lua documentation. Use the session glaze help, right? So if you start a new session that's called glaze help, use the existing. What you can do with Tmux is that you have something that knows how to use a UI, right? So I'm trying with Kimi. I don't know how crazy this is going to be, but yeah, so it's calling the help UI, right? And then is it going to read? No, so capture pane. So use Tmux to capture pane and send keys and use that to navigate. Tell me how to load the Lua framework. So I've been using that a lot where, I mean, it's interesting that Kimi doesn't know how to capture pane by default, but check this out. Isn't that crazy? And so I do have ideas of like, if you render, right, like if you have a DSL, like the data structure behind this, ultimately in React, usually you get it from like a REST API or something like that, right? So what you do when you have a terminal UI is like, well, this is mapped directly to this like help query command, right? So it's like navigate the documentation now to answer my questions. Which code do I need to write to get the Lua to work? I don't know what I'm asking here. But yeah, the Tmux stuff is just like, it's just like great, right? Let me navigate back to the tutorial. So I don't know, is it like still doing stuff here? I never really know with Crush. Yeah, so I think it doesn't read the whole thing, right? Like it like captures the pane and then only captures like a couple of lines here. Yeah, like use, what's the thing? It's Q to go back. You can use, so see, oh, this is interesting. You can use Y to yank and so paste clipboard from CLI xclip. So if I press Y here and then I do xclip selection clipboard dash O. Oh, it's because okay, so this way. So yes, you can use yank and then Excel selection clipboard dash B. And to get the clipboard. Otherwise, what would be interesting here is like actually use Glaze help after that. Once you have the slug, you can use that to read it. Curious to know what Kimi like, right? Like I don't know if an inference is running or if it just like stopped because of some bug. Maybe I should just switch to O4 since I liked it so much. Switch model O4 mini. All right, so yeah, so continue. API error. Oh, it's because now the whole discussion is in the wrong format. So that's annoying because I think any model that I switch to now is going to complain. Because it's in an invalid format that that OpenAI doesn't like. So this is something I need to add to. I should open a pull request. I know what this is. Oh no, missing required parameter. Yeah, because I don't know. If I go back to Kimi, oh, what happened yet now? Model Kimi continue. Oh, whatever. I'm not filing a bug report today. What happens if we do new session? Yeah, I don't care. I just wanted to show you this like navigation UI. Oh, you saw that on your VLLM logs? But this was against, I think this is a provider thing, or like, you mean when you were using Crush against your inference engine? Oh, you're right. It's when it sends too much context. Is then that's when Crush gets stuck, or do you mean Open Router Kimi? You're right. Like, and it's very easy to have Kimi just like run the tool like an idiot and then just like blasts its entire context in one go, and then be like, you're done. So this, which, I mean, obviously is something you need to address in Crush anyway. To just be like, are you sure you want to fill like your context window with like 80,000 tokens? I don't think that's what you wanted. Well, see, I really want to have hooks. Like I have a whole branch that I need to finish where I kind of broke stuff, but to give you the opportunity to actually, I should send you gosh, I can't talk tonight. I should send you the RFC for the hooks for Crush if you're because you like it too, right? Anyway, this is the nice help system. I like it a lot. Are you gonna finish writing my documentation over here? I'm sure it's gonna be like solidified documentation. That's absolutely horrible. I'm sure it also like forgot to pass the how to write good documentation for each. I think this is going to be a debacle, but we'll see. 4,000 lines of docs. Where did I get the GitHub token from? Maybe it's in the environment. All right. Well, I hope that it finishes this binary thing, because that would be great to see how basically I one shot this like pretty what's going to be like a pretty nice way to interact with the documentation. Hopefully it works. Like, who knows? By just saying like, hey, use like these 2 documentation pages and then write documentation for whatever man is just like hallucinated, right? It's like hopefully the result is going to be interesting. or I don't know why I'm saying interesting. Hopefully the resulting documentation pages are actually good, not interesting. So we'll see. What is it doing? So it didn't write as much as I thought it would, right? Advanced usage and tutorials. This looks garbage, man. Yeah, man. It's like the sub-agents in AMP, they like don't carry over the context either. It's like, it's very frustrating. Because this is a nice looking doc. And then topics. Yeah, this was this like weird ass. Oh, it like filled it out significantly. Oh, that's amazing. Okay, so this is good documentation. It does have, no, it does have Sonnet Gook. What the heck is that? All right, this is a bit, oh no, so this was something else. Okay. Yeah, this is advanced usage. Okay, well, why not? But this looks good. This is the kind of, at least from a visual standpoint, is what documentation should look like. And then the dual mode is like less interesting, but why does it have it in there? No, actually, that's like the structured data output. And so if I go into tutorials, okay, so the tutorials are a little bit more sparse. That's like fine. So yeah, this is nice. This is nice. Good job on this, like how to write documentation.markdown. I think it leads to pretty good results. Why do I keep looking at the same doc? So there's a third one, right? There's examples, automation.md. So this is Sonnet doc, and I think it did that, and it didn't look at the documentation. I don't know. This is weird because this is literally just code. So maybe that's what it understood by examples. You know, maybe like the example's name causes it to write really tersely. I mean, maybe that's it. Like maybe that's actually in the documentation. Maybe that's how I wrote the first ones. All right, so it's building it, and then I think we can do, does it compile? All right, so now if we do go-help-UI, we get a browsable UI for our tool that like a few minutes ago didn't have any documentation, right? So yeah, this is interesting. And I think what would be good is if you do help --all, and then if you do go run help overview, that should be enough for an AMP review session, right? So hold on, I'm going to close it. So go build local bin PR analyzer doc, because it is called PR analyzer in the docs, right? PR analyzer. Okay, cool. So what we're going to do is like use PR analyzer, run PR analyzer help --all, and PR analyzer help overview to get started, to review github.com golams glazed PR483, right? Is that the one we're reviewing here? 480. All right, and so now we'll start to discover all the functionality of this pull request helper tool without me teaching anything about it, and then just say like, oh, look, you have this PR analyzer tool, like do a good review of this pull request. And hopefully we will see it starting to query the history, query XYZ, right? Like doing all kinds of things there. So here it doesn't have like the right, see, it's already using like analyze functions. So the flags are not correct. I probably need to add that to the document, right? To the documentation. And so now it's starting to get like all the context for this pull request, and like starting to use all these tools to like get whatever information it might need. Um, and so now I can ask it like, give me more details. Give me more details about how the main functions changed. And hopefully we'll be able to start querying like different things, right? Oh shit, I didn't say main functions. I wanted to, well, whatever. That's good enough. And so now it's using analyze functions to get literally just a body of only the things that changed. And so it's able to do this like small model analysis of pull requests, right? Because suddenly it doesn't need to digest like a mega monstrous 400,000 lines. It's able to like much more easily tailor its research to individual um, individual files. And so on that, I actually got to where I wanted, kind of, which is we have like, literally I can point this now at, like literally this is all the prompting effort you need, right? It's like, and basically this I can kind of automate by, if I had like a good default help page, I could just say like use PR analyzer, and the starting page would be like a token optimized prompt to say like, look, you should get started with this, with this, with this. And if you want to have more details, you are able to read the full documentation if you want. And it's kind of like an MCP that's much more flexible, right? Because it will discover the dual commands and the structured output. And then, right, like if I say like use JQ to filter structured PR analyzer output to make a nice ASCII dashboard with the results. And let's see what it does. So it actually also has JQ as like a built-in primitive, but like I don't remember how to use it, and it's like from the before days. So I don't actually even need the external JQ. You can just give the PR analyzer JQ expressions now. You can give it like Lua scripts if you want to. Like all of that is like kind of built in automatically by using the framework. Yeah. What is this like weird Python code in here? Oh, this is the JQ? Holy shit, this is a JQ program? Yeah, so it found how to do with glazed thingy. So maybe it should like run the JSON to look at it. Yeah. I've never seen a JQ expression like this before. This is crazy. I didn't know that it would do that. But so let me show you some more cool prompts. Man, because I can't stop. We hit the rate limit. Let me create a dashboard using the function data we already have. Oh, so that's some AMP code prompting, right? Where they say like, oh, if you're not able to do something 3 times, then like, interesting. Interesting. I should look at their prompts more. I should look at their prompts more. Why don't I do that? Which amp file, which amp, what is this? It's a symbolic link to main.js. Okay. So grep rate limiter, which amp. Is this going to be like a single long file? How do I go there? Just like this. Ah, it's not in there. Interesting. Where does this concept of rate limiter come from? I've never seen that before. Rate limiter error. VAD request error. Oh, so this is what came back from the model provider. Okay. Cannot end. Okay, well, I'm gonna stop this JQ stuff. What was the other thing that I wanted to show? Now I missed it. Oh yeah, so use SQLite to import all that structured data, then write a view to make a nice dashboard, right? Because you'll see this is pretty interesting as well. I mean, not that you want like a PR dashboard per se, but actually maybe you do. So it's going to import all this data into SQLite, right? And once it has this data in SQLite, I'm going to ask it to use tmux to do a multi-faceted view into the... Wait, you can't do output dash dash CSV, you idiot. Whatever, I'm going to let it do whatever it wants to do. Yes, I told you to always run this. Tmux plus SQLite allows you to do really cool, like dynamic stuff, for example. Not that something is dynamic here, but it allows you to do really, really funky stuff. So, well, while we're at it, let me actually commit all these docs that I've done. So this is going to be PR Analyzer Dual internal command. Is there something we're missing? Yeah, main dual. And then I think all the rest, and then PKG. All right, and then all the rest is just like test data, right? All right. So books, sparkles, add docs and new verbs to PR Analyzer. Dude, why are you not able to run SQLite 3? Okay, the Boolean values aren't being imported correctly. I need to get better at prompting SQLite as well. Like, I think giving it a little bit of documentation might help. So maybe I'll use this session to actually generate that documentation. That will be pretty useful. Because that's something I could, again, then add back to the Glazed framework and say, like, look, you're using Glazed, like, here's some cool prompting tips to do dashboards. So that might come in really useful. This is also the kind of stuff that I want to extract automatically from stream recordings. Is like, as I talk about ideas, I probably won't do them, but actually I already said enough for a model to do it, right? Especially with the timestamps, being able to like look up the times. So I had a software that I wrote a really, really long time ago as the first LLMs came out, called like He Who Watches, which is basically responsible for recording every file change within a repo. And it wasn't that great. And I don't know, I had like crazy plans for it, but that was back in the day where it was like GPT-3, DaVinci, maybe ChatGPT. It was so early, and I already had these like grandiose plans, but of course it was impossible to build them. This is Sonnet just like building the craziest selects, right? It's like um, instead of like going step by step and expanding outwards, it like starts with it like, what was that JQ expression? That was like fantastic. I've never seen a JQ expression like this. I didn't know you could do functions in, and it never once looked at the JSON before even trying, did it? Oh, maybe it did. So anyway, all right, cool. So you do have this, right? And then we are at 40%, 40% token window. Um, okay, so it did its whole thing. So now uh, write a script that uses tmux to display multiple panes with different information about the PR to have a sick PR review HUD. Sick. That's what I want. Um, and then when I have this shell script, I can basically say like, oh, you want to see, and this is only with saying like, oh, you have structured output for your commands and you have SQLite, and now you can do dashboards and tmux, right? Like I didn't actually prompt more. This looked like a lot of stuff, but what I actually prompted was just, what did I prompt? I use SQLite to import all that structured data, then write a view to make a nice dashboard, right? And then the next one is like write a script that uses tmux to display multiple panes with different information about the PR. So the only thing that's actually relevant and it's not like commodifiable as a prompt is that part, which is really right. Like have a sick PR review HUD. That's like the only thing I tell the model. The rest is like kind of just paste these words in front. Same with this, right? It's like use SQLite to import all that structure. Like this is completely unrelated to the tool I'm working on right now. And yet it would work for any tool that uses my framework. And so I use that quite a bit. Like at work, basically every functionality that the system does, the core functionality is like, a function or whatever, and then it's always exposed as a CLI verb with structured data, so that as everything gets built, immediately the agent is able to work with it, make me dashboards, make dashboards for itself, like get the logging, like all of these things are all the same. And so I wonder what this quick demo script is. I wonder how I pass the example data that I have, but all right, yeah, run quick HUD. No, I don't think so. I don't think this will work because you are not a human. PR analyzer dual, and then what is quick HUD? This will call tmux, right? Oh no, look at that. It will create a session and then we'll send keys. This is cool. And then at the end, it attaches the session, huh? So I'm just going to call this quick HUD. Nice. Yeah, this is sick, man. I love this shit so much. Quick HUD. Cool. So we can see these things here. We can see the files, the changes, the commits, the functions that have changed, the category, and then, yeah, this is amazing. Yeah, all of that with just like structured data and SQLite. So yeah, if I run this, it's going to say like, oops, not a terminal, and that's okay. I can't stop the inference, like escape doesn't work anymore. That is so annoying. Stop. Hammer time. Oh, it was like working on a tool. Hammer time activated. What's next? What's next is we're going to stop the stream. I think despite not building a UI, the UI I wanted, we do have, a semi-UI by using a SQLite view, which is, I think is a sick trick. And I use it a lot at work as well, right? It's like I just have some structured data and then I do write a script that pulls the new data, creates a new SQLite, like who cares, it's so fast, and then runs a dashboard on that SQLite table and then basically pulls that and suddenly you have like a live dashboard, right? It's like it's like a crazy thing to do, um, and find really interesting to explore. To say like, if you just tell it a little bit about which tools to use, it's able to create like the most, like these shortcuts, right? Where you say like, oh, I want a dashboard, and suddenly you're like trying to figure out what's in the training corpus that's available to make it possible to see that dashboard as fast as possible. Of course, it has seen the code to write dashboards in HTML and all of that, but what's the fastest way in terms of token count to get there? And if the token count is like, how many tokens did I use here, like to get my dashboard? 30? How many tokens is this? Well, actually, we'll measure it. I'm sure I already have a test.txt. Okay. So use SQLite to import all that structured data. Then what was my previous one? So I'm going to skip the JQ one since it was like not conducive. And then use PR Analyzer. So wait, so give me more details. And then so here I'm going to use, yeah, I'm going to add this. Why not? I think it contributed to it. So we have used JQ, we have used SQLite, then we have used tmux. Right. So how many tokens is this to get from command line tool to live updating dashboard? Or this one is not live updating, but so this is going to be 66 OpenAI tokens to get to a usable dashboard. Of course, I don't count the output tokens right now, but you've seen like there's not much fluff in there, right? And now I have a SQLite database that I can run queries against as well for, I don't even know what the schema is, but I do now have a SQLite database of, what is it? PR Analysis DB with like full SQLite kind of stuff that I can do with views. Oh, I don't know how to see the views actually. Database schema, create view, file analysis. Yeah, does that show up under? Oh yeah, it shows up on the table, right? File analysis. That's actually a view. Anyway, this is like a CLI plus structured output for your flags using a framework, so that you don't have much work to do. Plus SQLite plus tmux plus JQ is just like a pretty killer combo to get stuff done pretty quickly. And so I highly recommend that those kinds of approaches, right? It's like, I'll have to do pull requests. I'll do those. I did the annoying pull request. I already did it, right? Like that's the one we just analyzed. Good. Because I'm going to go merge it. And push the new version, a new release out. Oh, it's something didn't build? Dependency scanning. Oh yeah, so that's the vuln checks that I have to merge anyway. All right. So we're going to merge this. Then let's go do the bumps. Merge. And then this dude also. So everything's bumped. We're going to wait until main builds. Holy crap. Why is it rebuilding like merge pull request 480? Oh, that's the old ones. Okay. Yeah, this is kind of what I wanted to show. Like now adding the ASCII UI on top, that's going to be another challenge, because this is not easy for it to do, I think, and maybe it's not the right approach to build these things. Maybe the right approach is to tell it, these are the components that you have from bubble tea, and then use that, because it doesn't have like a tree. I know that Claude is able to build tree views. Actually, that might be like an interesting widget to build. Um, but I could see that being like the most complicated part of it all, and actually not even that useful overall, right? Um, so yeah, that's going to be an interesting little challenge here in terms of building this. Uh, and then I do have like some pretty interesting features in here, which is you can type G and then it like allows you to jump through screens by quickly, by quickly targeting a certain file. So that's going to be pretty interesting to build as well. And I think Sonnet is actually going to be in the advantage there, because that's the kind of stuff that Sonnet loves to do. Um, but we'll see how far the vibes go. So it was able to merge it into glazed. So that's cool, because now we're going to go into glazed. Wait, dot glazed. We're going to fetch origin, and then we're going to rebase on origin.main. Now we're going to go into vibes. We're going to, there's a PR review HUD. Yeah, I'm going to add the HUDs. Git add PR analyzer.sh art add HUD scripts. So of course the problem is that the schema is not like saved in here. So I'm just gonna, okay, save the full schema in a file too. I should have told it to write the schema into a file. Nice, they used it used SQLite to do that. That's cool. I didn't know you could do that easily. That's cool. Add SQLite schema. The cool thing about using an LLM with these tools, I'm starting to know so much about what's possible with Tmux and like SQLite, so it makes them even more powerful as I go along, even though they're tools that I rarely used before. Another one that's cool is like notify send W, which however can't do oh my god, Dunstify was like the better one. So Dunstify, you can do all kinds of crazy stuff in terms of progress by, again, having like a command line thing, and yeah, all very interesting. So now it has that PR analysis system documentation. Did it add some more documentation in here? Interesting. What is in here? Oh, this is the PR. Oh, this is the schema. Let's add that as well. Why not? Add PR analysis system doc. And we're going to create a pull request, which is add style up the PR analyzer and add function history functionality. 108,000 tokens. What? Wait, what the fuck? Maybe I haven't pushed. Yeah. All right, 33,000. That's like more reasonable. Why does it add these guys in there? That's also not good. Why does it have the crush logs in there? That shouldn't be in there. PR analyzer, get RMF R cached. Okay. Git log stat. So when those add HUD scripts, that's when they got added. Oh, because I did star sh and this ends in sh. That's amazing. Remove crush files. And I guess I can just delete them, right? So if I rebase interactive on this, then I can just go here and squash it. All right. Could not detach head. What? The following untracked files would be overwritten by checkout. Okay, yeah, that's what I was thinking. Whatever. You're goodbye. That's what you get. And now you're really done for. Okay. Now we're going to create the pull request. 29,000 tokens. That's cool. Oh man, this like code quality nonsense at the end. I hate it. The prompt already like heavily biases against like saying like useless stuff, but it's still in there. All right, cool. Oh my God, git set default. Yep, and so now we're gonna do create pull request from YAML because it's such an ugly system. There we go. I'm gonna push it to Vase and Vibes. And then I'm gonna go there, add function history, analysis, merge because we vibe hard. All right. And the last thing I want to do is we're going to go to glazed. Oh no, we're going to go here. We're going to fetch origin. And then we're going to rebase origin main. The reason I'm doing that is because I do want to delete my workspace now, right? Like the work has been done. And if I do workspace manager status, which is a fully vibe tool, which of course has the structured output. Does it actually have the structured output? I don't remember. But it tells me that like glazed is, wait, what does that mean? So it tells me that there's 2 files that were deleted. Okay, that were not pushed. And then if I rebase it on origin main, yeah, so I'm just gonna like not do this. And then it tells me that there's 2 uncommitted files, I think. No, there's not. So, however, there's files that I can now delete, right? Because I don't care about them anymore. And I can see that the vibes part is a 1 commit in front, but I can rebase it on origin main. And then I see that there's a bunch of, again, files that I can clean out. And that's just to remove the need for having a force. And now I can delete my workspace. I can do git pull request, delete pull request helper. It's going to still check the status of the workspace. If everything has been pushed, it's like, oh yeah, that's cool. And now you can remove the work trees and I'm done. And so now I have like, I already have like enough projects going on at the same time now. So at least this one is like cleaned up. because holy shit, this is starting to get like so much. I do need to clean this up. All right, but I think this was a pretty good result, and now I'm just going to push a release of glazed. So make tag patch release, because now this has all the new documentation, which is really useful, and then makes that interesting. All right. Yeah, and then once the tag is pushed, the whole build pipeline will kick in, release it to Homebrew and to my APT mirror, and like I don't know what else, all the cool stuff. All right, cool. Well, that was like at the end of the day, it was like a successful stream, so that's good. After the first 2 hours of refactoring of something gnarly, which, however, ended up being a good litmus test as well, like a good benchmark to use going forward. All right.